I love your impression too. I know you ain't gonna go smoke no crack on the train. What?
It wasn't even gonna. I knew to throw the finna because I know she said finna.
Lee, and you are listening to The Usual Saints.
Welcome to a new episode of The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here this week with Jeremy and Sainte. It's been, 3 weeks since our last show. I was in New York and Jeremy was watching March Madness and Sainte was at Disney or something. I don't know. But yeah, good times. What's going on, guys?
I'm
still watching March Madness.
Yeah,
not over yet.
The game's tomorrow, right?
No, 2 of them are today.
Okay,
one should be starting soon.
But no more Cinderella. I was keeping St. Pete.
Yeah, they're done.
It's all Bluebirds now, right?
Duke versus North Carolina.
Oh, classic. Okay.
Then Villanova and
Kansas.
I want to say Kansas. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're boring Mr. Pittsburgh over here with our sports talk. Let's figure out.
What are you wearing, Mike?
I'm wearing an Orlando City jersey that I got last night.
Why does it say Disney on it?
I guess they sponsored it. I don't know. Did you know that I won a contest to go see a Magic game? And so I got ultimate seats, quote unquote, which unfortunately weren't courtside seats like I was hoping, but they were pretty close. And I got a $500 gift card and we got free food and beverage while we were at the game and a tour of the place, the Amway Center. So that was pretty cool.
I can get all this.
How was the?
I entered a random contest. Like I enter a lot of contests and I never win them really.
I do the same thing on Twitter. Like I just want to win a contest just to say I did, or like one of these random drawings, and I never win. I fucking hate that shit.
So how were the seats?
They were good. It was section 114, row 5. So probably about 8 rows back from the court. So like I said, courtside would have been awesome, but whatever. So Heather really liked them. Heather, she does usually like going to Magic games, but we usually have, nosebleed seats. So she enjoyed it. She wants to go back for more. Hopefully they can improve their team. They've won 10 home games this season. I think they've won 20 overall. So their season's about to come to an end in a few weeks.
Who are they playing? Who'd you see?
They're playing the Raptors, the Magic versus the Raptors.
Oh, fuck that shit. He got kind of hosed. See, I've been thinking about trying to get tickets for Magic games, but I want to get it early because, only thing that sucks is now you never know when guys are playing. So I was like, I'd pay a little extra money to see, Magic versus Golden State, to see Steph Curry or the Heat play, or, LeBron, the Lakers, even though they're fucking dogs, Orlando might have a chance of beating them. But there's certain players who I want to see play. And I figure the Magic would be a good place because there's no real fan base there, so to speak of. So it'd be a good place to go.
Lakers may not even make the playoffs.
Nope.
I won tickets to see the Warriors play the Magic, but I was in New York that day. So I said, unfortunately, I can't go. You can give my prize to someone else rather than me hold it up. But they worked with me and they were able to switch the game. Jeremy?
See, I would have gone. What the fuck?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, my daughter actually wanted to go, but I know she would have been extremely bored during the tour. But my wife said since my daughter and I had just come back from New York that my daughter was not allowed to go and that my wife wanted to go. So she decided to go.
I respect it. And for the simple fact that they allowed you to adjust and go to a different game, that's good. But if you're just like, I give it back, I'd be like, well, what the fuck, Mike? Me, Jeremy, any of your friends, we could, to go see the Warriors.
Well, you already named all his friends.
Jeremy, barely a friend. He gave me my own books as a birthday present.
That was funny, and you fucking know it.
The books he stole 10 years ago. No, but so we had
a last-minute idea.
Yeah, I know. We had to sign, and I lost. I won $5 in those lottery tickets you gave me, but then I bought another $5 ticket and got 0. So it's a wash.
No, I'm out $20.
That's your fault. Lottery is such a game for suckers, man. I'm sorry. They made me
that win. Like, my wife, she's been on this scratch off kick. You know, when they come out with one of the newer ones, I think it's like Golden Limited. And every week we just see another person wins. Someone in Sarasota, someone in Tampa, someone in Vero winning like $1 million or $5 million bucks. It was like a $20 scratch off. So it's like, fuck. So
I got a guy at work who, in the past year, he's won $1,000 3 times. He won 20 grand last year. And then just the other night, his wife texted him, "Hey, I want to send you a picture. Make sure you look at it." And she fucking won 10 grand. I'm like, what the first?
Man.
How do you spend $50 on a scratch off? Because I can't personally spend that on one scratch off.
Right.
And then how many are you buying to win this 5 fucking times?
Yeah.
I guess eventually if you get the 10 grand one or 20 grand, it pays off. But the most I spent on a scratch off has been $25. And I bought a bunch of $20 ones, but usually I do like the $2 or $5 ones. Like, fuck it, I got an extra, you break a 20, you got an extra $5, or I buy a ticket. But I know some people are out here dropping $20, $50. I guess there's like a 500 times. It's a $50 ticket. And yeah, people are winning, but $50 on one scratch off. If I scratch that bitch and it comes up fucking off, fuck that.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like if I win, like I buy a Powerball and Mega Million, one ticket a draw,
Right.
If I win, $4, I might use it on a scratch off the next time I go buy tickets. That's the type of thing. And it's not all you got for your birthday. What else did you get?
What else did I get?
Well, the only thing you fucking asked for was people to donate to the charity.
That's Facebook. Facebook, like sends that to me.
That's what you asked for your birthday, we both contributed.
You didn't look at my Amazon wish list.
Do you want me to put up the post? All I want for my birthday is people to donate.
That's not what it says at all. I'm gonna look at that shit. But anyway,
you're gonna delete it before I can find it.
I'm not gonna delete anything. So yeah, you guys couldn't have gone to the game unless you went with me, because I had to sign an affidavit and give him like my driver's license and my social and all this kind of stuff. So it was for Michael Denninger. It wasn't for you two unless you came as my guest. So that's how that would have worked. But I had
what
fun
was it?
nevertheless.
What was the contest you wanted? Was it an online thing or was it
I'm pretty sure I entered it. So I get emails from the Magic. I think I still do. I've actually, because my inbox is like 90%, or my Gmail storage is 90% full. I've been like unsubscribing from a lot of lists, which sucks. But it was for Drop. It's a new app. I think it's like some shopping, some sort of contest, some sort of shit like that. They're a new sponsor for the Magic. So I got the email one day. I'm like, okay, a contest, whatever. I enter it. And like the next fucking day, I get told that I win. And I know that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go because I saw the date of the tickets. And I'm like, whatever, I'll enter it. I'm never going to win it, blah, blah, blah. And I win the next day. So when we got the $500 gift card, the guys who gave the tours, Michael and Elliot, they were really cool. They showed us everything about the Amway.
What did you get to see on the tour?
Basically the whole place. Like we did our steps around the Amway Center. They gave kind of a history of it. They showed us, they got a lot of new cool stuff there. They got this area where it's like the history of the Magic, like their Hall of Fame, quote unquote, and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I met Bo Outlaw. He used to play in the NBA. He was like, he was just courtside, and he's like, they introduced me to him. I'm like, Bo Outlaw, hey man. He shook my hand. He started telling me I need to come run this 5K in a few weeks that the Magic are doing, things like that. He was a cool dude. I saw Nick Anderson, but I wasn't introduced to him, so I didn't get a picture with him. I did get a picture with Bo Outlaw. And I didn't get a picture with any of the new guys that were practicing because, I wasn't that guy. I didn't walk up to the court, ask them for a picture or shake their hand or whatever. They introduced us to Bo. So I think he's kind of like a team representative now. So that was kind of cool.
Right.
So because you went to a different game than originally planned, were there like a group that would have been at the first game and it was just kind of you and your wife this time, or were you the only two winners?
I think we were the only two winners. I mean, I could be wrong about that. There were other people there at the VIP entrance that were getting like walked around by other people, but I don't think it was the same contest. Maybe it was just something else, but it was cool.
Yeah. They put you on the Jumbotron?
Nah, I thought they would, but they never did. And I had to make sure I paid attention because they do this thing called the oblivious cam. And so like they had these two old people that were just like looking or talking to each other, not even looking. And so it was like a minute, 20, minute 30 went by. They didn't even know they were on the Jumbotron.
Nice.
But it was cool. You know, they had this like kind of the area where the food's served. It's like this. It's reserved for people with wristbands. And so, you know, they had pretty fancy food, you know, some top browns, some roasted chicken, potatoes, some seafood pasta, blah, blah, blah. And you got all the beer and wine you wanted for free, plus soft drinks and things like that, and ice cream and hot dogs and nachos, anything you wanted. And they had a candy wall. So basically, you could just tell this chick over in front of the candy wall, like M&M's, Skittles, Twix, Twizzler, whatever. Yeah, just give me some of those, and she just give them to you. You know, so it didn't cost you anything. So that was pretty cool.
Did you bring some Tupperware and take some shit home?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't even have any beer or wine because, you know, I'm kind of like into sours and ciders, and all the stuff they had on tap was kind of the generic bland shit. You know, but they had other people like dropping, you know, $100 on like some fucking gin or fucking tequila or whatever because they had a full bar, but Heather didn't want any wine either. But we did go out obviously afterwards, spend the $500 at the team store. It was actually harder than I thought it would be. They didn't have a ton of jerseys for this Orlando City jerseys. It was buy one, get one. So I got one in what I would prefer to be my size. That was a Markel Fultz jersey. And then I got this, which is a Cole Anthony jersey. They had a Jonathan Isaac jersey. I should have got one of those, but that's fine. This one's one size smaller. It's like a 2X. So it's not horrible, but it's a little tighter than I want it to be. So if I keep losing weight, hopefully it'll fit a little better. And then I got some
State of the Magic is shown by it. I didn't know who any of those people you just mentioned are.
You know who Jonathan Isaac is? I mean, he hasn't done much because I think he got injured again. But he's like supposed to be one of the stars. Yeah, they got rid of all their guys that I actually know. Is Cole Anthony Carmelo Anthony's kid? Anyone know?
No, there's no way Carmelo.
Still playing.
Some motherfucker at the game was like acting like it was. Like the way he was shouting. I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I mean, Cole Anthony was the shortest guy on the court. And he was 6'3", so it's kind of interesting, you know, watching him like up next to Mo Bamba. You know who Mo Bamba is, at least? The skinny 7-foot tall black dude. Okay.
You don't know the song? I mean, no. He's more popular for his song named after him than he is for fucking anything he's done on the basketball. Yeah, Mo Bamba was probably one of the number one club songs 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway.
I remember when the Magic got him, but yeah, you know, the team obviously kind of sucks. They've sucked basically my entire life except for a little run in the 90s, and then when they made the finals, and then in the mid-aughts when they made the finals that one time. I wore a McGrady jersey to the game last night because it was unfortunately the only one that fit me. The two old ones that I had besides that were Penny Hardaway and Shaq. And I wanted to wear the fucking Shaq jersey, but I must have got it from a high school or something when I was like 14, 15. So Heather wore the Hardaway.
Wear that all the fucking time, yeah.
I know. So I still got him, but they can't. I don't see myself. I'm never going to go that skinny. So I don't think I'll ever be able to wear those again. I'm not getting rid of them or anything. I told Heather she can wear them if she wants. So I wore the McGrady.
I just looked it up. No relation to Carmelo Anthony at all.
All right. So that guy was an idiot. I didn't know. I didn't look it up. I was busy. What else did we get? Oh, I did get a traditional or whatchamacallit? Historic. I don't know what the fuck word you want to use. An old looking Hardaway jersey. So it's pretty cool. And it's got the sewn in embroidery rather than this one. The new kind it's not the sticker kind like we're used to. It's different. So I'm hoping it lasts a little longer, but it was like buy one, get one. I'm like, you know, the city look is not so bad. I'm like, I might as well use the money towards it. I had to spend $500. It was difficult. Heather got a shirt. Sophie got a shirt. Heather got a pair of shoes. Heather got a Tervis tumbler. We got a flag for the front of the house. I got some socks.
When you say difficult, meaning that like, they just didn't have a lot of stuff, or it was hard to spend that much? Like, what do you...
They had a lot of stuff. I wish they had more jerseys in 3X because I like it baggy, you know? So like it was, they had one fucking jersey in 3X and I had to ask someone to get it. They had this cool looking like kind of sweater thing because I've been looking for a new hoodie and it looked really cool, but the 3X, I don't know if the size was just weird or something. The 3X was like, it was snug on me. I had a shirt and a jersey on, and 3X is usually baggy on me. So I didn't want to waste my money on something that wasn't going to fit proper the way I wanted it to. we wound up spending $522 with tax. So I paid $22 for, all the shit that I named. Heather's shoes are pretty damn cool looking. Yeah, I think they're supposedly female shoes, but they're like magic shoes. And they look like Vans or, Converse or something like that. But yeah, man, we had a good time, and we went out afterwards, went to a little brewery. Heather's like, oh, I have to go, use the restroom somewhere. I used that opportunity to look up a local brewery that was still open. And I drove, a mile to go there. And she actually had a beer for the first time or whatever. She had a stout and she liked it, but she couldn't drink it all. I can't drink stouts. I hate those things. But I did have a few good sours. Ivanhoe Park Brewery up in Orlando. So yeah, that was what I did yesterday.
Did you drive home that night?
Yeah, I had 2 sours, man. I wasn't fucking drunk or anything. I was tired though. I was up because I drove Sophie to school, so I was up since 7:30 a.m. and I just didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, probably because I was playing Madden or trivia or whatever. And,
how long was the drive?
It's not so bad. It's like hour and a half, hour 45, I'd say, from downtown Orlando. It's not bad. It's just annoying and depends on traffic too and the way it sends you. Told me to take the turnpike on the way up there, but then I took 95 on the way home. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, I guess, do you guys have anything to cover from your breaks or anything? And we got a lot of stuff to talk about, the Oscars, and I know you guys want to hear about New York and everything, but
I say, do you want to
Orlando?
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Saint.
Oh no, I was going to say, are we going to talk about his New York trip? But if we want to just do a real quick recap, now go ahead. You went to Orlando, Jeremy?
Yeah, I went up to Orlando with the wife. Went to.
Wait, this is gonna be a Garth Brooks story, man. Let's get past this. Saint, you got anything?
We talked about fucking the Orlando Magic. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, went up to Orlando, went to Garth Brooks concert. Wife and I made it a little trip, so stayed a couple nights and went to White Castle. Went to a country bar that we like on iDrive to listen to some music, get some good food, and see where the kid fell to his death the day before.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Where'd you go to Saltgrass?
Huh?
Where'd you go to Saltgrass?
Saltgrass?
Saltgrass. It's a restaurant on iDrive.
Old Red. It's Blake Shelton's bar. Got live music on the stage. Guys, usually taking requests, and they got some fried pickles and fried green tomatoes that are fucking delicious.
Pretty morbid. That's you went to see where the kid died. Did you even watch the video?
We didn't go there specifically for that, but that's that's what everyone was talking about while we were up there because it just happened the day before we got up there. So.
It was still closed, right?
Talking about, yeah, it's gonna be closed for a while. I just saw the agriculture person for some reason is requesting that Icon Park close all their rides until they can be fully inspected.
Who? Nikki Fried?
I don't know. No, isn't that Attorney General? It was
the Attorney General is Ashley Moody.
Oh, okay. It might have been Nikki Fried.
They need to close the Starflyer and that one. Those are the 2 most dangerous rides there. You don't need to close the fucking Orlando Eye. That's a slow-moving Ferris wheel where you get into a thing. That's not even owned by the same company. So it's the other 2 you should close down.
But that's what she wanted was those closed down. I just saw that today because they want to investigate or whatever, or inspect them. Or I don't know, man. I honestly think that drop ride becomes more popular now because somebody died on it. So as soon as it reopens, I think people will be lining up to get on it because now you have that real fear factor that's not there normally.
Nah, man, that kid was 360 pounds. He should never been on that ride. That they should have a fucking seatbelt in the middle where the crotch is to hold the fucking harness in place like they do on Falcon's Fury at Busch Gardens, which is basically the same ride. That's why it just opened up in January, December. I've never been on it. I may have gone on it. Now I'm glad I'm never going to go on it. I would never go on the fucking Starflyer they have there, which one person has died on as well. I think while they were building it or something like that. That thing is just, you're in a fucking swing like at a fair and being swung 430 feet in the air. No, thank you. I'm not trying to die like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't trust. It feels like, and of course, maybe it's just my bias, but it feels like places like Busch Gardens, Disney, and Universal, like they probably have engineers who test and make sure, and they're telling their employees, it has to be this way. You have to check, and we have to do the checks. And I feel like these other places, which I'm sure they've run this ride probably hundreds of thousands of times before this happened, but it just seems like the workers there really is it just me, but it seems like they don't really care as much. Like everybody get in. Okay. Everyone you check. Okay. Everyone's harness. Okay. Run it. Let's just go. It seems like the parks, like, when I went to Busch Gardens, it's been a while since Busch Gardens, but I just went to Disney and every ride, they're making sure that everyone checked their harness, make sure everything was locked. And I feel that's why I don't get on the carny rides. Those traveling carny rides. Fuck no. I mean, those guys will come in our casino after work and they just be like there's no way I trust any of them people with my safety. So, what were you saying?
That's the same way I feel about those stupid slingshot rides and bungee jumps that they just put up in the middle of a bridge. Who the fuck is checking this shit? I mean, it's not. They don't have the same thing to lose. Disney has a lot to lose if somebody dies on their ride,
right?
Because the ride failed. Those guys, maybe not so much. So they don't. They obviously aren't going to put the same level of care into it.
Did you guys see the video?
Go ahead.
Did you guys see the video?
I haven't been looking. I heard it, but I haven't been looking for. All I saw was I think my wife saw something when they were showing the emergency people, everyone trying to get over there. But there's an actual video of it happening.
Yeah. My wife said she saw it, and you could actually hear the kid saying, "Hey, my thing's not secure. My thing's not secure," or something to that effect.
Yeah, I think you can. I was listening in bed, so I don't know. But it's some guy who's not in his group. It's on kind of, if you're looking at the dude on the ride, it's to his right. So he's to your left in the video. So you get kind of a side view of him. And there's a guy filming the entire time. So he's filming it go up, up, up. And it feels like it takes forever to go up because it's 400 something feet tall. And then you see this dark spot at the top of the ride. And I'm not sure if it's him, and something's going on or whatnot. And then it falls and then he doesn't fall out. And it's really fast. And I didn't replay it more than once because I was like, man, even though I don't know. I didn't want to see it, but it's when he swings out, because those rides, they have you face the ground when you get to the top. They hold you for a few seconds, then they drop you straight down and they swing you out back in the sitting position. And when they swung it back out, so he was not that far from the ground, but it's that G-force and that speed. Right. And that's what fucking killed him. I mean, he slammed into the ground and broke everything, they said. So yeah, it's kind of sad.
Wasn't even there with his family.
Was his family not there?
Family. He was on vacation with a friend's family.
I thought it was a football team or something, or he's just a football player.
I think he's a football player.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I know he allegedly told his friends, hey, tell my mom and dad I love them, because he didn't think he was going to make it off. And that just sucks, man. That's my worst thing. You're in a fucking plane crash
the
or
accident?
Something. Yeah, while he was going up, he was telling his friends that he was right next to. He's like, "Hey, tell my mom and dad I love them if I don't get off this ride." So I mean,
kind of weird.
Yeah, the kid knew. I mean, he knew it. He could tell he wasn't locked in properly. And at the very end of the video, you see this female worker come over to the guy who was telling everyone they ain't no seatbelts, and she goes over to him and she's like, "Did you check the ride?" And then he's like, he said something yeah, and he kind of seemed weird about it. So I don't know, man. It'd be interesting to see if anyone gets charged with anything, whether it's the company in civil suit, obviously, or this kid gets charged with some sort of manslaughter for not checking the ride like he's supposed to. And the kid's probably in his late teens, early 20s, something like that, who was supposed to check the ride. I mean, that goes to show, like I said, like you guys were saying, the theme parks you have a little more faith in. Those are still usually younger people. But I know, say when I first went to Universal, when I got the Universal passes, Velociraptor was closed for the entire fucking day. And boy, was I pissed off. And boy, I was sweet and shit like that at Universal. But you know what? It's probably better they close the ride to make sure it's working properly.
And that's why, and Disney, and they know for a fact people get pissed off when. And I mean, certain rides like Rise of Resistance, there's just so many moving parts that goes down. But some of them, like Slinky Dog or anything, if anything's out, they'll just close it. And they don't care because, like you said, Disney has a lot more to lose than these fucking park rides or whatever. And I'm sure they go through tons and tons of training to be like, hey, this is, they probably have secret or whatever, they probably send people out there to make sure, undercover, to make sure that the people are doing what they're supposed to do every single time. And, the cast members know that shit. So
same with the height requirements at Disney. They don't fuck around. If you're 47 and a half inches, you're not getting on that ride that requires you to be 48. They know it's their job if they get caught letting someone through.
Yep.
It's their job. And they know they're, like you said, I'm sure they have people, maybe not secret shopper, but maybe reviewing the video saying, hey, what the hell, you're supposed to be checking this shit and you didn't. And I would assume that maybe the Disney rides are a little more technologically advanced where, hey, if the seatbelt isn't closed, their little screen up there says, hey, seat 4B, the seatbelt's not secure and there's someone in the seat. So, go check it or whatever. Because I've seen them, get ready to start the ride and look down and have to come back over and say, hey, such and such. And I don't go on the, fucking fast rides or shit like that. So,
all right, let's see. Saint, did you say you had something too? I mean, Jeremy was talking about his country.
Oh, no, that's the only thing. Not to bring on a down note, but I'm probably going to work next week. So, just on Wednesday, went into the IMAX or the fake IMAX, the FIMAX or whatever you want to call it, that they have here in Tampa, and went and seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. Does it? I always mix them up, but it's the movie. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once. I believe that's how it goes. But went and saw that in IMAX, and pretty good. I mean, some people were saying, already proclaiming best movie of the year, probably going to win a bunch of technical Oscars, which I think probably. But it was a good time. I'd definitely recommend it. It's a weird movie, but it's weird in a good way, and they go for it. They use every technical. I guess the guys who directed it used to direct music videos, and you could tell they used every editing, every trick, a lot of humor. It was funny, had action, good story. So highly recommend, but that's what I did this week.
I don't know what the fuck that is. I never heard of it.
Nope.
You haven't? It stars, what's her name? The older woman from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and
Michelle Yeoh.
Yep, Michelle Yeoh. Yep, starring her. And I guess I don't know. There's not really a plot. It's her husband, and her daughter, and they're like an Asian family, and they run a laundromat, and then things ensue. But it's kind of like it involves some multiverse kind of stuff. Really trippy, but like I said, they go all in with the costumes and the editing, and it's a good time. I'd highly recommend it. Go to a movie theater, I'd say. I mean, you can watch it at home, but try to see it on the biggest screen possible, because there are some moments in it that are just like big, like, loud, and really glad I saw it in IMAX. So highly recommend. I don't know if it's going to be movie of the year, but
Well, we'll see. Speaking of movies, I guess we can cover the Oscars quick before finish our A block. Let's go over let's go back straight to the picks. The three of us, we did our picks.
All right. You gonna be able to share the screen so we can read it, or how are you gonna do this?
I mean, I can just tell you.
All right.
You don't trust me? Like, why would I lie?
Screen sharing will make it easier, but go ahead.
But all I have is the numbers, and my family's on there too. I mean, I can show you guys if you want.
No, go ahead.
All right, so let's start with my family. So in my family, I have Heather, who got 4. Sophie and my dad got 7 picks, right?
Wait. Only 4, right?
Yeah. We haven't seen anything, right? So except for Dune.
I've
my
seen
wife
Coda. That was the only one I saw.
Actually, if you just put Dune every single time, couldn't you get more than 4?
You should have won, right? I know. She didn't pick it for everything. She just kind of filled it out like whatever. My mom got 10, which on a side note also ties with Jeremy. So Jeremy, that puts you at the bottom of the podcast.
That's it. I only had 10.
Yeah, you only got 10. I can tell you which ones you got if you want.
I picked a lot of Coda and Dune, so I thought I did okay.
Nah, not enough, man. 10. I won for my family, but alas, for the second year in a row, was not good enough to beat Saint, because Saint's doing all his research. So I got 14, and Saint got 19 out of however many categories there were.
My research is I just watch a bunch of movies and stuff. That's my reason. I just try to figure out how the Academy. Although I guess I was kind of pissed because I was going back and forth. I was like, are they going to give Coda Best Picture? I don't think. Well, here's my logic, right? The reason I thought they were going to give Coda because Coda won the producer awards, and it had a lot of momentum, and I'm like, okay, but I just have a feeling we're going to go back and look back 5 years, and you're going to watch Coda and be like, this was Best Picture. And I don't know. Have you guys watched it? I don't know yet.
I have. I thought it was like a B movie when I watched it on Netflix or whatever.
Right. Don't get me wrong. It's a good movie. It's, it introduces you to a world that you don't know about. And it's a perfectly good movie. I think the one actor who got the Best Supporting Actor, he did a great job and he deserved that Oscar. But when you look at this, could have even been on Lifetime if you think about it.
That's how I thought of it. It was a Lifetime movie
with a little less. It has
I don't even know who won because I didn't watch, and other things came up, and that's all they talked about. So
it won Best Picture, and now, granted, it has a little higher production value than a Lifetime, because I've seen some of the Lifetime, and their production is just like, hey, we just slapped some shit together, and we're reusing equipment and production, all that. So the production is a little bit higher than a Lifetime movie, but Best Picture, you're gonna look back at this and be like, this should. It's not a travesty like Crash or some other years, but being a Best Picture nominee, like and that's what I was going against. So that's why I went with Power of the Dog. And it's also funny that Apple TV or Apple Plus TV, whatever the fuck that was, Apple Plus is the first streamer to win Best Picture when Netflix has been trying to get that shit for like the last decade. So that was funny. But
speaking of, since Jeremy said he didn't know what won, we could just go down a quick list. So I got them in order of when they were presented. Okay. So for supporting actress, Ariana DeBose, who was the Bullet in Hamilton, the original cast, she won for, I think, playing Anita in West Side Story.
What in Hamilton?
The Bullet. Have you seen Hamilton? Or right?
Oh no. So she was in like a
but yeah. If you watch Hamilton the entire time, she doesn't look any different than the other stage cast members, but she's always getting closer to Hamilton throughout the play. So at the very beginning, she's furthest from Hamilton. Throughout the play, throughout every dance number, she's getting a little bit closer to him. And at the very end, she does play the Bullet, but she gets closer to him. That's kind of the thing. It's I guess, it's kind of cool. That's why I like Hamilton so much. It's got these little Easter eggs or whatnot laid into it. So after that, Dune won for Best Sound. Yep. Dune won for Best Cinematography. And the dude who was the DP on that, Greg Fraser, I think, or something like that. I know we can look it up, but he has actually done a lot. He did the Batman. He did like 2 or 3 other movies. He's kind of on a roll. And he's a foreign dude. I think he's British or Australian based off the accent I heard. But it's cool. Dune was beautifully shot. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, he's a great director. So
I went into Dune fully expecting like, all right, it might be some bullshit. And I came out there like, well, now they kind of pulled that shit off here. Yeah. I was actually really like, no, that was some good shit. I was thoroughly ready to be like, I spent some money and blah, blah, blah. But no, I had to give it an A+. It was good.
I think I can only think of the 3 movies. Again, we could look it up if we wanted, but for Denis Villeneuve, now I'm saying his name wrong, but he did The Arrival, which is a great, movie with Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner about aliens. He did Blade Runner 2049, which I didn't really love, but it's a beautiful movie. And, it's hard going on top of Blade Runner, which myself, I'm still not even the biggest fan of, but you're going back to that 35 years after the original came out. And then he does this Dune part, and he has the balls to put part 1 without part 2 even being greenlit. So listen, man, this guy's a really good director. He's going to be around for a while. So I do enjoy all the films of his that I go and see. Let's see. Documentary short subject. This is where I did lose supporting actress. I think who the fuck did I put? I don't even know who I put, but it wasn't Ariana DeBose. Documentary short subject. Both of you, I think, picked Queen of Basketball. Which one? Yep. Visual effects, Dune. That
one's good too. Queen of Basketball. It's on YouTube, so it's real quick. It's only like 20 some minutes, but it's really cool. Okay. It's fun. So I knew it. We got it.
All right. Animated film, Encanto. Animated short film, The Windshield Wiper. I don't think any of us got that. No. Supporting actor, Troy Kotzer, the deaf guy, which I know I picked and Sainte picked. Jeremy, you remember who you picked? I could look it up, but I didn't know if you remember.
For which one?
Supporting actor. Yeah.
No.
Let's see. We got international feature film, Drive My Car. I mean, that was nominated for like 3 different categories, including Best Pictures. I was like, I'll pick that one. And yeah, it did win. The Long Goodbye won live action short film, which I think Sainte probably picked, maybe Jeremy too. Costume design was Cruella. I've not seen it. My daughter wants me to watch it, but from just seeing the trailers and the very beginning of it that my daughter showed me, I kind of went with that, and that did win. Original screenplay, Belfast. So Kenneth Branagh accepted that. I guess he wrote that. I'd heard of it, but I'd not seen it. So
that's the one I didn't get for
Belfast.
Original.
Yeah. Adapted screenplay was Coda. Original score, Dune. Film editing, Dune.
Yep.
Documentary feature, Summer of Soul.
Yep.
That's the one that got fucked up by the Will Smith, Chris Rock. Also, we'll get into in a minute.
if you're just in the music, me, I used to DJ and I'm just in the black music in that time period, but it's just found footage of a concert in Harlem in 1969 that's been sitting in a basement for almost 40 fucking years. Like, just amazing. Like, this took place. And it's just, again, sitting in a basement somewhere, and someone mentioned the Questlove, like, hey, man, you want to see this footage? It's, we got a whole concert. He's like, are you kidding me? And when they found it, they put it together, did a bunch of interviews. And I love that documentary.
Nice. Production design, Dune, original song. Now, I did like Billie Eilish and No Time to Die. And I told you guys I liked the movie. I thought for sure Lin-Manuel was going to get the EGOT. But no, he was shut out because No Time to Die won. I think Billie Eilish is the youngest winner of three major awards for the same song in like ever. So yeah, that beat out Dos Encantos or whatever, however Dos Margaritas.
Right, which I don't know if Lin would have won. Was his name on the writing credits for that song?
Yeah,
okay.
He would have won. Yeah, he would have got it. He wasn't at the Oscars because his wife got COVID, even though he tested negative. But that was kind of a shock to me. Still good song.
They said we don't talk about Bruno didn't get put up for it because they didn't realize how big a song that would become.
Right.
They put in the wrong song, they said.
Well, so I've heard multiple things at the very beginning. As soon as Encanto came out, yes, that people were saying that, like, when the nominations came out, like, why isn't Bruno the nominated song? Disney, I think, had said something to the effect of what you said. But Lin-Manuel also said something that makes more sense to me. He said, when you put out a song to be nominated, I mean, you could probably put out more than one, but then you'll split the votes. But he said, you put out a song that tries to encapsulate the entirety of the movie or the spirit of the movie. And so Bruno, as popular as it was, didn't really capture the spirit as well as the song, which basically told about, the love and the split and the death or whatever it was, whatever the song talks about in Spanish. I don't know all the words in Spanish. So he thought that song encapsulated everything more. So that's why they put that one out for the nomination, according to him. Let's see. Director Jane Campion. I picked that. Sainte picked that. I don't know if Jeremy did. Actor Will Smith and his little, I am protecting my family bullshit. Makeup. This is another one I lost out on. I thought for sure Cruella would get it. Again, not having seen any of them except for Dune, I think. But Eyes of Tammy Faye, Jessica Chastain with her makeup.
That, right. Well, so. It was two things. It was one, I mean, you can always tell, like, the makeup and all that kind of stuff when someone makes a really big deal about the makeup. And I don't know if you guys, obviously not, but there were articles about how Tammy Faye said she felt the makeup had damaged her skin because they had to apply so much of it, and the type of makeup it was, not only to get that Tammy Faye gaudy 80s whatever look, but also for it to stay on. I'm like, oh, so they're making an Oscar push for this, right? Because everything, such a big deal about the makeup. And I'm like, think about all the actors in fucking alien movies and shit that have to sit in the makeup chair for. But when I read all those articles, I'm like, yeah, they're making a push for hair. And she made a big deal about how, because they weren't putting it on the broadcast, how she was going to skip the red carpet and she was going to be sitting in the audience. That way, if her hair and makeup people won, she'd be there to see them win the odds. So I was like, okay, well, we know where this is going. So it was a good play by her. Gotta work the refs a little bit when you go for these Oscars. Gotta put in a little story behind it. Oh my God, my makeup team is so disrespected. Like, okay.
Then Jessica Chastain won, and by the way, she would look amazing. I thought she was probably the sexiest woman I saw there that night. Oh no, Lily James, when she came out and presented. Oh my God. That girl can dress. Then Coda won for Best Picture, which seemed to shock everyone, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, that was the Oscar winners, Jeremy, just to recap for you. Anything in there shocking to you or anything that you need to talk about? Her?
No, I'm looking at Lily James right now.
She looked fucking hot as hell. She's the one who just played Pam Anderson in that Hulu series, but she's originally from like Downton Abbey. She played Cinderella, I think, in one of in the Disney live action movie. But in that pink gown that she was wearing at the Oscars, fuck me, man. And Jessica Chastain, she's always pretty good looking, and she just kind of had the twins on display nicely. So I was a fan.
Who knew we would go into Oscars fashion?
I want to talk about a few things from the ceremony itself. Did either of you watch it? Jeremy, I'm guessing not. Saint, did you watch or just highlights or?
Just some highlights, but no, did not watch.
So, like, do you guys remember when this used to be like the second most watched event of the year after the Super Bowl? Now last year they got 10 million people to watch it, which is like nothing. That's like an episode of a TV show sometimes, like Walking Dead used to get and everything.
Not even a good TV show.
Yeah,
that's low.
And
like Friends and Survivor used to get like 20 million a week.
Yeah. And this year they got 15 million. So it's up from last year, which was the lowest rated ever, but still low. I've got some thoughts
about the math on all of that too. So you figure last year's the lowest year ever, but of course everything is pandemic affected, whatever. A lot of people didn't see the movies last year and they were doing that weird thing where they didn't have an audience, blah, blah, blah. So no matter what, there was going to get a bump this year just because you had movies like Dune, Coda, some movies that people actually had seen. So there's going to be a bump, but I actually want to see, because I know they can do the ratings based on, they can split it up based on time. But I want to see pre-slap numbers, then after slap numbers, and is it all just, added together? Because I'm sure after the slap and it hits social media and Twitter and all that, I'm sure they got an after slap bump. And do we add that in? And then next year, just the beginning, because what happened last year, they're going to get another slap bump just to see whoever hosts next year, if they're going to mention it. But I want to know overall. I figured overall they're going to get, it was going to be up maybe 13, 14 million this year, which would still be low. But, I want to know how the slap affected, the math.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but I think you're probably right there. I mean, I found out because I was on the plane when it was on, and I tried watching it on DirecTV on the plane. And when I put it on, I saw Troy Kotsur winning for supporting actor, but it like froze and I couldn't do anything with it. So I just turned it off. I'm like, hey, I'll just watch it later tonight or tomorrow. When I get off the plane, my dad starts talking about some fight at the Oscars. I'm like, what? I didn't want to hear anything because I didn't want to get any spoiler. And so my daughter looked it up. And then the next morning I was on call and I just decided to basically not work and just watch the Oscars first. So I watched the Oscars instead of working, because I had time to play with anyway.
Good thing your coworkers don't watch this.
But no, it's not the same, Jeremy. You don't know what on call means. You're an idiot.
I was going to say, like, this may be the only time where you'd be correct. Like, I didn't want it to get spoiled for me, because any other time I'd be like, there's nothing that you're going to see that's going to be spoiled at the Oscars. Like, but this year, yeah, no, there was a spoiler moment that you probably want to wait and see what happens. So
I did. So I picked Sophie up from school at one point in like midway through the Oscars, right before the slap. And Sophie knew about it because she read about it online. I had avoided I didn't look at my phone basically. Okay. Sophie's sitting there with me watching because she wants to see it and she knows what's going to happen. And she sees them introducing Chris Rock backstage about to announce an award. And she says, he has no idea what's about to happen. And I was like, oh, thanks, Sophie. Just spoiled whatever for me. And I didn't know what was going to happen either because I had no idea what. I thought it was going to be three guys or something that went out on stage or like, me. I didn't think Kanye would be there, but with Kanye's behavior recently, I thought, did Kanye do something? I'm like, did Sean Penn melt his Oscar on the stage? But no, Chris Rock goes out there and fucking makes a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair or lack thereof. Whether or not his intent was knowing that she has alopecia or whatnot. And then Will Smith laughs about it, but then Will Smith gets the look from Jada Smith and Will Smith goes up on stage and bitch slaps Chris Rock. So that was probably the most shocking moment of the Oscars. Obviously, you guys have seen it and the memes, endless memes, which are still going to this day. What do you guys think about the situation? I know my thoughts, but what do you guys think? Saint, let's go to you first.
I don't know if Jeremy want to go because I'll probably go a little long.
All right, go ahead,
Jeremy. Do you want to go?
Jeremy, you want to go first?
Sure. Let's see. So the joke, somewhat in bad taste. If you know that she's suffering from a condition that causes her hair to fall out, understandable. Will Smith laughed at the joke. They cut away, which I don't know if there's footage out there from that camera after they cut away. I want to see him realize that Jada didn't find it funny and get up out of his chair because that's the shot I want. I haven't seen it anywhere, but you got to think it exists somewhere. I mean, the camera couldn't have gone off them that quick. At least I wouldn't think, unless, they know what the next joke is and they're, panning to that person. But I want to see that video of, the side eye she's giving him when he realizes, oh shit, I'm laughing. I can't be laughing. And, goes up there and does his shit. And I mean, the aftermath, I guess today he resigned from the Academy. Netflix was making a movie with him that they just stopped making or, aren't moving forward with. That was your weekend. That's how he handled it to start off as a comedy show. So, he hasn't really addressed it. I did find it a little bit funny and a little weird that there was so much confusion among, you got P. Diddy, I think, saying, hey, this is already squashed. It's no story. You got the Academy saying, hey, we told him to leave and he wouldn't. Then, oh no, we didn't tell him it actually, oh no. Yeah, we did tell him to leave, and Will Smith said he wouldn't leave. And just the way the stories just changed so many times about, oh yeah, it's already been squashed. And Chris Rock's like, we haven't talked at all. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, it's a little strange to, sounds like some PR people try to get ahead of something and they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But overall, the screaming, saying something from the crowd's one thing, but physically going up there and slapping somebody, I'm surprised he wasn't arrested. I know Chris Rock said he wasn't going to press charges, but fucking 15 million people apparently saw it happen live on TV. One of them is probably a cop, or a prosecutor. So I don't think they really need Chris Rock's agreement to press charges on an assault that happened on live TV. But I think it's still weird to me that somebody was just able to walk up on stage, even if it is Will Smith, without security stopping them at all. I would have thought that they've had some incidents with streakers and people running on stages at award shows. I would think there'd be a little more security. And just because it's Will Smith, I don't know that he should be able to get by that security and do whatever he wants. But who knows? That's all I got.
Well, I missed the first part of what you said because my phone rang, but I caught up when you were talking. Yeah, I know, I hate that, but I think it recorded it all. Hopefully I did last time. The cops were there. I saw an interview with Will Packer that he did with, I think, Good Morning America or something. He was the producer of the Oscars this year. The cops were in his office literally saying, give us the word. We're going to go arrest him now. And Chris Rock apparently was telling him, no. He was trying to shut it down after he got off stage. So without Chris Rock's participation, I guess charging him with battery, as the cops allegedly told Will Packer that they could do, would be difficult, because if you don't have a willing victim to participate in, the criminal portion of a case, even if it's on fucking video in front of, forever or in perpetuity, it's going to be there. That's like you said, it's going to be mentioned at next year's Oscars. Eventually Chris Rock's going to write some stand up about it. It was crazy, but the cops were there. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that base because I had just read that the other day. So Saint, go ahead. What's your take on things?
Man, just so many different angles, so many different takes. I'll try to go through a few of the things that you talked about too, Jeremy. Is I was in bed, but I was scrolling through Twitter. I forgot what movie. We were watching some show. I think we were catching up on Bridgerton or some shit. But I was second screening it. So I just, usually on these events now, I just scroll through Twitter. Unless it's the Super Bowl, which I was finally here for. I just go through Twitter and then see, who wins the Oscars. But, I'm just for the jokes. I follow a lot of comedians, a lot of just Twitter type people, and also a lot of people who are on quote unquote, Black Twitter, who just have, comments, jokes, commenting what people's wearing, commenting on people's speeches. I follow a lot of directors and, Hollywood TV people. It's going through. I stop and I'm watching it. And then my wife's friend messaged her and he goes, Will Smith just hit somebody at the Oscars. And my wife said, I guess Will Smith punched somebody at the Oscars. Really? So I look at trends in the US, and it was, of course, Will Smith's name was number one. So I was like, oh, okay. Click on Will Smith. And the first thing you see is Will Smith hits crowd. I'm like, what? Just the amount of shock that it was involving Chris Rock. There's a few things about that. One, I'm sure security's there, but you can see there's the way this stage was set up. It was made very easily for people who they anticipated to win. They kind of were in a table section as opposed to being in stadium seating. So it was easy for them to get up from their tables. I guess they're going for more of a Golden Globe type vibe. They can get up from their tables and they can walk to the stage. And there isn't that big, some years they have this big fucking stairs that the women can't get their dresses. If they got a train on their dress, they can't get up the stairs and stuff like that. So it was very easy for people who, the winners to get up from their tables and make it to the stage. And if you're security and if you're planning for security, you don't anticipate the people you have to worry about are people who are possibly going to win an Oscar that night. Because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, he got up there pretty easily. But then when I seen the setup, I was like, well, it makes sense. They're going for more of a Golden Globe vibe where it's real easy to get from your table to the stage and not like that stadium seating where some years a winner has to come from the back and then, a lot of the actresses, they have to come and their dresses get hung up on the stairs and all that shit. So that's one. Two, I'll wait to get into Will Smith's head or whatnot. But the reason why, and, this may sound a little counterintuitive, but I know Chris Rock, not only as a black man, but a black actor representing in Hollywood, like it's just not, it would not be, unless it was like a beatdown, unless, Will Smith was just impounding on him or something. There was no way, because my wife said the same thing, is he going to press charges? I'm like, there's no way. And in that circle, in that group, there's no way that he's going to tell the cops, yeah, go and drag Will Smith out. It's just not. I just knew from the fact, and you've seen the way Denzel and Tyler Perry and all them acting, and with Diddy, that's that whole thing. They're trying to get ahead of it and make it seem like, no, it was just a moment, but everything's cool. And obviously it's not, because Chris, like you said, hasn't talked to Will, hasn't really spoken about it. I guarantee you he's still pissed. And I feel like Diddy and Denzel and a lot of them, they're just trying to do damage control. Like, no. Will's cool. It was just a moment, blah, blah, blah. You ever get in that situation where like you might be in a group of buddies and two of them get into it? You're trying to tell everyone outside the group, no, we're cool. It's how how guys get but the two guys involved may still be like, no, dude's a fucking and it could be a lot of shit from the past, but you're trying to project a certain aura around everything else. Like, no, it's all cool, whatever. And I think that's what Diddy's doing. I think Denzel, who probably has a better relationship with Will Smith and Jada than he does with Chris. And, Denzel's the one. I don't know. Well, Will Smith in his speech, he told him like, hey, at your highest moment, that's when the devil come for you. But if you've seen what happened in between, so the slap happens, Chris kind of composed himself. Will screams, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth, whatever. And then he kind of goes and he presents the nominees for the documentary. And, while that's playing, I think Denzel, there's Instagram pictures and footage of Denzel getting up and getting in between them from the stage and Rock and saying, hey, man, we're going to continue on with the show. Everyone chill out. And then once Questlove won for Summer of Soul documentary, once they went to commercial break, and, during the commercial breaks, people get up, they socialize, whatever. It was Denzel, Tyler Perry, Will's publicist came out. I think they said his attorney or somebody came out, agent or somebody. Bradley Cooper. Everyone was trying to get in Will, saying, no, everything's cool, blah, blah, blah. Which, again, I thought was kind of fucked up because it seemed like nobody was really concerned about Chris Rock and his safety. But, yeah, it seemed like, that Hollywood, specifically the Black Hollywood, they want to, put an air out there. And a lot of those people, they're probably like, yeah, man, Chris gets up there and says a lot of jokes that we don't like. These people, there's some people who don't like to get picked on, which to me, we look at it as, hey, you make millions, you're famous, kind of comes with the territory. But, on their night when they're winning awards, I'm sure some of them don't like to get, the Ricky Gervais, Chris Rock, a lot of them don't like to sit and get roasted. So that was that point. On the third, and then I kind of feel I've gone through three different emotions. Let me wrap this up this way. At first, I was like, oh, that's fucked up what Will did. I can't believe it on his biggest night, blah, blah, blah. That's all people talk about. A day or two later, I kind of shifted to Will's opinion. I'm like, well, she does have alopecia. It is something she's gone through. I know their relationship, and it's probably with everything that's going on in that marriage, it's probably Will saying, hey, I have to show her, who knows all the bullshit that they've gone through. But I'm just projecting it had to be a situation where he's like, I have to show Jada that I have her back because maybe she hasn't felt that, whatever. But obviously she gave him a look, said something. And I'm like you, Jeremy, I want to see footage. It cut away, but I want to see the footage from him laughing to him. And it cuts. And there's no angle because obviously the only angle you would see would be from the stage or wherever. But we haven't seen, did she say something, give him an eyebrow, hit him? I want to see what Jada did to let Will know that shit wasn't cool. And for him to, and of course, Rock was like, oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. He's like, he tried to play it off. He's like, okay. And then Will started walking in. He's like, uh-oh. And you could tell the whole time Chris thought this was going to be a bit. Maybe Will came up and shook him or be like, hey, man, don't talk about my wife, you know. But he definitely was not expecting that slap. And then I feel bad for Chris. He has a comedy show and people are there expecting him to say something. He's like, look, I've probably worked on this material for a year. I want to, you know, I have a set. And because of this, you want me to come out and say some funny shit where he might still be like, the reason I think he hasn't really said much is because if he went on stage and said how he really felt, he probably would have just went ballistic. He'd be like, fuck that dude. You know, how come you hit August Asina? You know, how come you hit that motherfucker the way you hit me? He probably would have tore into him. So
who's
all in all,
August guy, is that Jada's boyfriend?
Entanglements, yes, the public. Now, granted, they've both kind of admitted that, you know, the infidelity has gone both ways, but the only one that's been public and very public is the relationship you had with this dude. You know, there's been rumors that they have an open marriage, whatnot, but part of that's also like, hey, look, everything we do, we keep quiet. You know, we don't let anyone insult. And then, but she went with this one August Asini, who obviously is going running his mouth, and now she made she made Will sit down at the red table talk so they can have an hour-long conversation about her infidelity. Like, no matter what your relationship is, it's like, so now I have to go on your Facebook, whatever thing, so we could talk about how you had a relationship with this dude, and she was calling it an entanglement. And at one point he has to stop her and says, well, let's stop with the entanglement. You had a relationship with this dude. And, you know, I'm pretty sure, again, I don't know, but it's like, I feel like per their agreement, it's probably like, hey, as long as things don't get out, we were doing what we're doing, but then obviously became very public. Will looked like he was crying in that, you know, he claims it was more like he was tired and stressed, but it's embarrassment. So, I mean, with all that, and that's what I'm saying, I don't think it was a Chris Rock joke. I think this has much more to do with his relationship with Jada, everything going through, probably a stressful night. And he just snapped at a moment where he was like, oh, okay, she don't like that. Well, I'm going to show her that, you know, I'm for her. I'm her man, blah, 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 this and that. So I swung kind of all the way back to like, you know what? Nah, Will, that was wrong. You completely fucked up. It was uncalled for. And also, I'm not the type of person that says, you know, you should never hit somebody, like, but in that setting, in this circumstance, it was uncalled for. So
yeah, I mean, totally. He was in the wrong. He resigned from the Academy. We'll see what their actions are. You know, I heard Whoopi saying, oh, they don't need to take his Oscar. I guess some people have said that. I don't think they will do that. If they do, I'll be shocked. But for him to get up there in his acceptance speech and basically not apologize for anything and just use his performance as Richard Williams to justify what he just did and the whole thing is, it's words. Yes, words hurt sometimes. Yes, but Chris Rock's a comedian. You know he's going to do shit like that. If that was Ricky Gervais out there, that shit would have been a lot worse. Maybe not directed just at Jada, but Ricky Gervais is like, he throws those things out. He doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks about anything. Chris Rock, you know, that wasn't even a great joke. Like someone said, I think the screenwriter tweeted something like, you know, oh yeah, you know, 25 years later, I get some recognition or something like that. And Jada Pinkett Smith, right before the show, she either did like an interview on the red carpet or had just recorded a Red Talk podcast, whatever the fuck she calls it, saying that she doesn't care what anyone thinks about her head because she thinks it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. So
it wasn't about the joke. The joke was just the straw that broke the camel's back. There's a ton of history. And yeah, I mean, people are going back and saying, oh, well, you know, Chris Rock has a history going after Jada when he hosted the Oscars in 2016, when she was protesting because of the Oscars So White thing. And he made jokes about her there, about, you know, her not being invited is like me not being, you know, her not being here is like me not boycotting Rihanna's panties. You know, we weren't invited, you know, that kind of. But again, there was nothing egregious. I'm saying on Will's side, this has much more to do with Will's relationship with Jada and probably the stresses he's been on for the past 2 years than it does about the joke. The joke was just the final straw that broke him. And, you know, he just snapped on it. But it was because there's an angle. You know what? There's another angle. And again, not the one we want to see. After Will smacks Chris, does the kind of walk back and gets it. You can kind of see Jada there, and she's kind of laughing at it too, like, oh, this is what we're, but not in like fuck you, Chris. She's laughing and thinking, like, was that a bit too? I didn't know. You could tell that it wasn't like she had some pissed off thing. And again, we're talking about all these people are all actors, so who knows? But it wasn't like some like she was enraged and she was like, yeah, she was kind of just like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. And she kind of straightened up when Will started saying the keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth too. So it's more to do with Will and Jada than it has anything to do with Chris Rock. He just caught the bitch slap of it.
The joke wasn't even that bad. If it had been about the open relationship and about her cheating on him, then it's a little more the joke,
right.
It's not that fucking bad a joke. I mean, either way, hell, maybe she could go make G.I. Jane too. What the fuck? She's not. I mean, what else are you going to see her in?
But
hey, be careful.
Oh, let him come smack me. I want to own an Oscar. Come smack me. I want to own
that Oscar stage.
Man, yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about like because everyone's talking about now, like, well, specifically Howard, basically all those celebrities like giving standing ovations and clapping when he's giving this speech a few minutes after, battering or assaulting Chris Rock, and by that time they knew that it wasn't a bit. They knew it wasn't a joke. What do you guys think about these people? I mean, Jim Carrey's basically called out Hollywood as spineless en masse is what he said. He's quitting acting, and not because of this, but he said that in an interview with what's her name, Gayle King from CBS Sunday Morning or CBS.
So no Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
I'm guessing not. No, it seems like this will probably be one of his last acting roles in Sonic 2.
It's a few things, and I've seen people say that. And in one part, I agree. But again, that's like a stunned crowd. And I think everyone at first thought it was a bit. And yes, by the time he gave his award speech, everybody knew that, no, that wasn't a bit. But you also have to understand, he didn't get kicked out. That's the Academy's fault. And for as much people saying, absolutely, yeah, he should have been asked to leave. I think they're backtracking because so many people are asking him, like, how do you let a guy stay there? If that had been anybody else, I mean, you have to imagine the number of actors who could have done that and stayed. I'm sure Denzel and, most of the front row people. But if that had been like just a regular whatever, somebody who wasn't super famous, yeah, they would have escorted them out. If that had been a cinematographer had done it, they'd have kicked his ass the fuck out right away.
You brought it up earlier. Kanye, I mean, how much shit did he take for going up on stage with Taylor Swift? I mean, he was, people were talking about how he was a horrible person, and fuck, he didn't actually hit her. I mean, he went up there and said that her shit didn't deserve the award. That's what he said. Fucking Will Smith walked up on stage and smacked a man, and he's not being talked about the way Kanye was talked about for that lesser incident.
Well, Kanye was 100% dick move, making it about himself. And then, like you said, people were trying to justify saying Will was defending his wife. But it's when you really break it down and then break it down more and break it down like I have been, it's just bullshit. There's no reason. And again, the Oscars should have been like, yo, Will, you may win this award. And I don't believe because the what you call it, the votes have been tallied days before. So it's not like we can change it mid show. It's already been from some whatever accounting firm that does it or whatnot. And what was I going to say? No, they should have just said you can win your award. And I was going to say that the second place, nobody wants to be like, we're taking it from Will and we're giving it to this guy, because nobody wants to be that guy. Like, I got my Oscars because they're taking away from this guy. And then you get into the whole Harvey Weinstein, Roman Polanski, all the shit dudes and people who still have their Oscars. But they should have been like, Will, you have to leave. Like, we'll announce you won the Oscar, but you can't just come up here and smack a presenter live during the show. That was their fault. So, but when that did not happen, and what I also think is the producers, they seen the way Denzel rallied around Will, Tyler Perry, who would you say?
Bradley Cooper. When all those people started rallying, be like, no, it's going to be okay. We're here, blah, blah, blah. I think the show and the producers are kind of like, okay, let's just move on. And then with the standing ovation, they're just, again, these are actors. They're Hollywood.
They're probably caught up in the moment. Everyone in the room before that happened was rooting for Will Smith to win his award. So going into the Oscars, it's like, hey, this is Will Smith's big moment. Let's reward this guy. This happens. And then he kind of gives like, hey, I'm defending my family, such and blah, blah, blah. And I think they just, in the moment, they're like, yeah, okay, without really stopping to think what had happened. And someone pointed out, most of them probably agree on him. Like, they don't like to come to these awards shows and get ribbed on. You know, these type of people get their ass kicked, 25 hours out of the day. So you go to a place where you want to win an award and you have these comedians come up there and they rib you. And most of them are like, they just put up with it and roll their eyes. But I'm sure most of them are like, yeah, we don't really like that. That's not, what they enjoy to come and sit in the crowd. You'd hope more of them have a sense of humor, but you're in that Hollywood bubble. Most of them probably don't. So they probably sided with Will. But I think if they stopped and thought about it, they'd be like, nah, because then it lays credit to, if anyone criticizes you and says something about you don't like, you have the right to just go up and smack them. It's like, your movie sucked. Oh, you know what? Smack, keep my name out your mouth. That can't be the new standard. So
he has kind of a history of it. I saw a video on Facebook and I remembered it after I saw it a few years ago. I think it was a French, kind of a comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Where he went up and tried to kiss Will on the line. No. That was, it's different. It's different, but it wasn't. It was pre-COVID, so it wasn't none of that COVID shit. But then Will pushes him away, and then he slaps him on the face. And so, like I said, different thing. But what underlying issues does Will Smith have? And I'm not a professional, but with this, you got the relationship by itself, which is obviously one huge clusterfuck of a thing in itself. But then you have whatever Will's gone through. Because I love Will Smith from Fresh Prince. I love him as Fresh Prince of DJ Jazzy Jeff. I love Independence Day. Everything
got
else.
Beat up a lot at the park. Had to move with his aunt.
He's so funny.
In Bel Air.
Yeah, here you go.
Well, no, okay, no, that was a good one. Good one to slip in there. But no, if you read his, and I didn't read that book because it was I hate when it feels like things are getting pushed like way too. But he just had that book come out called Will. And in it, he talks about one of his biggest regrets or his biggest shames in life is when his father used to beat on his mother, that he didn't stick up and defend her. And so that plays into it. But also, I feel like Jade is the type of woman who's just kind of been, and I don't want to get too deep because you don't really know, but there's a lot of people that feels like she has emasculated him in the last few years. She's even talked about their sex life and how he at times didn't know what he was doing. And just shit like, why is this out in public? Just keep all this shit. Go to therapy. You got the money. Work it out there. Don't do it on the red table talk. Don't do it, where we need to be in your guys' business because it makes it seem like he's been. And I feel like this is just Chris just caught the last bit of, I need to make this woman realize that I'm a man for her. I'll protect her, blah, blah, blah. And he just snapped. So, right. But no, that one time when he smacked, that dude was asking for it because gave him a hug, gave him a kiss on the cheek, and then tried to give an extra little kiss on the. And I know it was supposed to be like a funny bit or whatever, but Will's like, nah. And I agree that dude should have gotten slapped. Come on, dude, don't take it somewhere where he doesn't need to go. And it wasn't like dude. I'd understand if he had smacked that dude like he smacked Chris Rock. He gave Chris Rock a harder smack than the dude that was over here violating him.
He did a little backhand.
Get the fuck out of here. That dude deserved that. But go ahead.
As far as pulling his Oscar, I don't think that's warranted. I don't like the revisionist. We're going to take all these awards away from people because of this or that. He's not Bill Cosby. He didn't. I hope he didn't rape 20-something women. Oh. But
I don't believe in that either. I'm just saying that if this is the line where we're going to start taking away people's eyes, I got some explaining to do because there's a lot of motherfuckers who y'all probably should. So I don't believe in any of that. And, Will, he did the smart thing. He got ahead of it. I'm going to resign instead of going through an investigation. Cause it's like, I got the Oscar. What the fuck do I need? I don't need to go this. Do you need to go after that? I don't give a fuck.
Well, the investigation is still happening.
They love Sean Penn, but didn't he beat the shit out of Madonna when they were together? So how can you love him so much,
Yeah, but Sean Penn's Oscars were after that. And again, it's all
That makes it worse, doesn't it? They kept giving him jobs after nobody beat his wife.
Same thing with Roman Polanski. Same thing with Woody Allen. I mean, these things have been around for years. Harvey Weinstein, I'm sure it was probably talked about in the Hollywood community, but I can tell you for damn sure I had never heard that he was a sexual predator.
I didn't believe Mel.
Really? Yeah. I had not heard of it.
See, I'm just more plugged in, or maybe I'm just, I got because I knew about him and Louis C.K. because if you don't remember, I think one year when Seth MacFarlane was hosting, he kind of made a cracker joke about all the new Scarlets, how they had to keep them away from Harvey Weinstein, and everyone in the audience kind of jokes and laughs. And then you hear people talking about the jokes like, yeah, everyone knows Harvey Weinstein's a fucking perv. Now, I didn't know it was all he was raping women, but it was pretty much known that he was doing the casting couch shit. Like it was, if you want, I mean, that was known for, and, the whole Brad Pitt and what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow shit. That shit was kind of out there. Same with a lot of shit Louis C.K. was doing before.
Well, I knew about the Louis C.K. thing. I told you guys I wrote that email to Louis C.K. when I first heard about it like 4, 5, 6 years ago at this point. And I never heard back, but I wrote an email to his website, like his address at the website, never heard back about, and I was drunk. I was so drunk that night when I wrote that email. And I was like, dude, man, I just read this article about this shit that I heard that you're doing. I really hope it's not true. But I still have the email. I could probably read it to you. But then a few years later, but now he's back, and now he's like thinking, oh, I'm not cancelable, blah, blah, blah. And he's coming back, and now he's all right wing and all this bullshit. So no longer.
Is he right wing, or is he?
Yeah, it's a whole cancel culture thing. He's gone. Right. He's trying to appeal to that whole side of the United States. Like he's kind of accepted that he's lost his original fan base, because I was a huge fan of Louis C.K. He was a brilliant comic. Yeah, I'm sure he still is a brilliant comic, but it's tainted him so much that now he's focusing on that, I think, in his new comedy specials, from what I read about reviews that people have watched or seen him. So
actually, I think I have it downloaded because I was just waiting to see. But again, like, I'm always on the type, like, people deserve second chances. People, we should be a more forgiving society for certain things. There are certain things that cross the line. I don't think what Louis C.K. did cross that line, but I just don't like the fact. And again, I was with you. I thought he was like the number one comic. I love his show on FX, his comedy mind. But then it was kind of like he came out, and yes, he admitted what he did wrong. But like you were saying, years before, the way you found out, his management, they make it seem like, oh, all he did was jerk off from some girls and it wasn't a big deal. It's more than that. His management was also doing shit like hurting the careers of women who were saying, yeah, there's a stand-up comic out there who does like creepy shit, like jerking off in front of people, and hurting their careers behind the scenes. That's different from like, hey, I got drunk one time, I started jerking it, I apologize. And like I said, I don't think what he did you can't come back from, but I don't like the fact that he's kind of been like downplaying, like, oh, it's Louis, wasn't a big deal. It's like there was more to it. And instead of just coming out and being like, yeah, I was a complete dick, I just asked for forgiveness, I want to move on. It's, oh, they're trying to cancel me because, put your dick out in front of my wife or my daughter or a woman I care about and say it's not a big deal that I stood in front of a doorway and finished jerking off. Okay. So you're
gonna see Sainte's inner Will Smith come out.
Smack the shit out you, boy. You don't want to see me on that Oscar stage. Wow.
I'm all about jerking off in front of people that want to see it, but that's me. All right, we've got super long with this A block. We're going to finish this A block, come back with 2 more short blocks, talk about New York City and whatever else we want to talk about. We'll be right back with Usual Saints.
Hey, everybody, this is Zeb Wells, and you're listening to The Usual Saints.
Welcome back to Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here with Sainte and Jeremy, and they want to hear about my New York City trip for some reason. So
Sainte does.
I mean, you can keep it short. I mean, if there was nothing, it was like, went to this museum and that museum and that museum. I was like, okay, I seen the Instagram. So
there may be a Chad moment of the week.
I don't know.
Oh,
we'll see.
that one definitely put that in. But
well, let's see. You know, I get there late because JetBlue, you know, I hate how they overstack their flights, man. Like they know they're going to be late. I'm taking an evening flight. I'm going to be 2-3 hours late. They should fucking just stack the proper amount of flights, but whatever. Capitalism, blah, blah, bullshit. So we get up there. By the time we get to the hotel, we hadn't had dinner. I take Sophie to her first bar, really, because we were trying to find an open restaurant, and the place that said it was a restaurant was 21 and up. So she couldn't get in, obviously. But the place right next door, even though it was a bar, they allowed us in because they had a restaurant. So we sat down. So we had some food. It was pretty good. It was kind of like an Asian fusion place. Went to Meow Parlor the next day. I'm just going to run through real quick. You guys can stop me anytime you want to hear any stories. That's a cat cafe. That's something I'm interested in opening myself. Sophie had fun, I think. Let's see.
Wait. Are you seriously thinking about opening up a cat cafe? Like, is that actually like a?
Oh yeah, man! I just ordered a fucking book, like from the woman who the first cat cafe I went to in St. Augustine. She wrote a book about how to open a cat cafe and what to avoid and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, when I actually get some kind of capital, that's something I want to do and just kind of make it like a passive
Vero
income.
or like Orlando?
Nah, Vero, man. Like Orlando's got a few.
Really? I don't think there's enough people in Vero to support it, but
I think there are. You know, it depends on location and everything like that. I mean, if you figure, you know, if you get, I have to do the math, but I feel like the amount of people that come here and the people who are learning about cat cafes now, I mean, they're huge in Japan. So the people who are learning about it, people actually like it. You get there, you go get a coffee, you get a beer, you get some pastry if you want, you hang out with some cats for a little bit, 50 minutes, an hour, and you're fucking done. But if you put 10 people in a room, as long as it can fit something like that, I mean, that's, you know, $200 right there, easy, not including the cafe stuff. So that's just each hour.
It costs $20 just to go in for an hour.
Usually it's about 20. I think I paid between 15 and 30, depending on the town and the place and all that kind of stuff. So, you know,
I didn't realize you were paying an entry fee. I figured you were just making money off of food and drinks.
Oh no, man, you pay that shit. People love going in, and you know, you gotta, of course, if you got an aggressive cat, you don't want that in there. But usually team up with like a local place like Humane Society or, you know, someplace who has cats and they're rescues. And so you get them there. You're trying to adopt them out, basically. So you're basically acting as an arm of that in partnership with them. But that's not where you make any money. You know, that money would probably go to that organization. But, you know, like I said, it's more like a passive income. It's not like something I'd quit my job. I'd hire someone like as a barista because I don't know how to fucking make coffee or anything like that. So I'd hire someone to do that part. Probably run the whole shop and, you know, whatever. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, it's just a pipe dream, just like my dive bar that I always want to open. So that was the cat cafe. We went to Madame Tussauds because Ripley's in New York City is apparently closed, which was kind of shocking to me. So if you wanted to go to Ripley's, believe it or not, but that's closed. So Madame Tussauds was all right. You know, nothing that stood out to me too much. It was fun though. Where do we go next? Oh, the public library, New York Public Library, the one from the opening scene of Ghostbusters with the two lions in the front of the building and everything. And they, you know, go downstairs and get scared by the ghost. They had an exhibit where they had like Charles Dickens' desk and the original Winnie the Pooh characters. Like Winnie the Pooh does not look like what you think he would look like. He's a ratty old looking teddy bear, along with the rest of the characters that R.L. Stein, not R.L. Stein, whatever the fucking the name of the original person who came up with Christopher Robin wrote. Let's see. Oh, and then the subways. So have you guys heard bad things about the New York City subways recently after COVID or anything? I don't know. Have you read any articles that would make you scared to ride a subway? Just curious.
I heard no. I always hear about the stuff that, well, the reason why the subway sucks and, you know, the mass, whatever transit they call it, is because it's run by the state. It instead of being run by New York City, it's actually run by Albany, by the state. And, you know, they don't really give a shit or want to invest money into it because it'll cost so much. So all I read about is how bad it is and how, you know, people in the city, they want control of it. They want local government control instead of the state having control of it because they feel they get better service.
Jeremy, did you have something to add to that?
I feel like there's been some articles out there or Reddit stories maybe about incidents on the subways lately.
Since COVID?
Issues.
Okay. Okay.
Got some homeless people maybe pushing people onto the tracks or
Yeah,
like
you know,
recently.
I feel like that's pretty standard, but you know. My cousin Bethy, who's been guest host on the show, she was like, "Oh no, we haven't ridden the subway since COVID. Blah blah blah. It's dangerous. Don't do it. Don't ride the subway. Blah blah blah." So the first day, when we go to the Cat Cafe, me and Sophie walk the entire city of Manhattan. We're staying downtown. We walk all the way up to like upper midtown. You know, we walk 15, 16, 17, 18 miles that day, whatever. By the end of that day, we were fucking kind of wiped. My feet were kind of killing me. So the next day we're going to the Bronx Zoo. We're like, I'm like, do you feel okay taking the subway, Sophie? She's like, yes. All right. So we take the subway. Get the subway up there, no problem. You know, it was a little creepy in the Bronx, near the Bronx Zoo. It was not the best area right outside the zoo. We go in the zoo, have fun. You know, it's a nice little zoo. It's like it's probably plenty of acres. My dad didn't think we could get it done in one day. A lot of the animals were off exhibit because of the weather, but it was still pretty fucking cold out there, 30s, 40s, 50s. On the way back from the Bronx Zoo, me and Sophie are on the subway, and a dude sits across from us. And I noticed in his right hand, he's got this like two little pink capsule looking things. They almost look like teeth. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck those are. Then he reaches into his left pocket, pulls out a glass pipe and a lighter and and a wooden stick. And he starts cleaning out the glass pipe with the wood stick. And then he pops open one of the pink things, pours the white powder into the glass vial with the burn marks on it. And then he pops open the second one, pours it in there. And I'm like, is this motherfucker about to try to smoke crack in front of me? Luckily, yes. he walked to the other end of the subway train, but he still stayed on the train. I was really hoping he was going to go to a different car and not off my car. However, luckily for me, I had a wonderful, upstanding Black woman who was not afraid to speak. And so when he stayed in our car after he had walked past her, she gets up and she goes, "I know you ain't finna smoke no crack on this train." And the guy starts trying to defend himself, and this bitch, she was great. She's not a bitch. Like I that's just my word. She was great. She was lovely. I would not have done this. I would have maybe said something if it would have started, but I didn't want him smoking crack right in front of me and my daughter. But she just kept saying the same thing, and he just eventually backed off. And I think he did finally leave the car. But I have nothing but love for this lady. Like her ability to stand up to this guy was beautiful.
Protect Black women at all costs, even if you have to smack someone on that Oscar stage. Protect Black women, because this is a great story. Oh, I wish you had pulled out your phone and I'd seen that.
Did anybody stand up and like back her up at all, or was she by herself?
She was by herself, but she did not need any backup. If she would have needed backup, I feel like, listen, I would like to think that I would have stood up. I don't know that I would have, unless he would have started smoking crack right in front of me, and then I would have had to fucking do something. There were a lot of people on that train. I feel like hopefully someone would have backed up, but she did not need it. This was a big Black woman. She did not care for this motherfucker at all. And she said what she needed to say and what all of us needed her to say. And I thank her for that extensively.
I love your impression too. I know you ain't gonna go smoke no crack on the train. What?
It wasn't even gonna. I knew to throw the finna because I know she said finna. So I made sure to put that in there. But yeah, she was great. So that was our Sunday. That's the Bronx Zoo. Let's see. Sophie wanted to go see the 9/11 memorial. We've been to the museum like 2 times already, and she didn't say she wanted to go. So we went to the memorial, but we went like after we went around 5:15 p.m. The place is fucking closed. They don't let you walk around the reflecting pools after 5 p.m. So that kind of sucked because we walked down there for basically no reason. But whatever, we made the best of it. We walked past Trinity Church, which I didn't know where it was, and we just happened to walk past, and I see Hamilton's grave right there, which was kind of cool because, you know, in Hamilton they talk about Hamilton's buried at Trinity Church and Angelica's buried at Trinity Church, blah, blah, blah. Eliza's buried at Trinity Church. You can't go onto the property to see the actual graves up close, but you can see Hamilton's marker from outside of the gates, which was cool. Let's see. We saw some cool sunrises. That's when we took the Staten Island ferry over to Staten Island, because Sophie, I told her that it was the one from Homecoming where it gets chopped in half. in Spider-Man Homecoming. And so she was excited about that. We went to Staten Island. It was like 9 p.m., 9:30. There was nothing really to do that was close by. So we just stood over there, came back on the ferry, got some cool shots of the Statue of Liberty. Let's see. Next day, Memorial. There it is. World Trade Center. Okay, so we went down. We tried to see the World Trade Center. It was the line was pretty crazy. We didn't have advanced tickets, so we didn't go to the memorial again, the museum. We went to the Van Gogh, the immersive experience. Have you guys seen those ads popping up, the billboards, everything like that? No. So it's basically an exhibit for Van Gogh, basically talking about his life. I always got confused. I always heard the rumor, or what I thought was fact, that he cut off his ear for a woman. No, it turns out he was having some sort of like, he had like schizophrenia and other things, and him and Paul Gauguin, I think is the other artist's name, who was over at his house visiting. Paul Gauguin or whatever, what left, came back, found like basically an ambulance or medical people at the house, and fucking Van Gogh had cut off his ear, in spite of whatever Paul Gauguin had said about him or something to that effect. But that was a really cool exhibit. They basically have like 10 projectors that project around this huge room, just showing all of his artwork and things like that. So Sophie really liked that. Sophie was really into that, I think. Let's see. I went to the Irish Hunger Memorial. That was pretty cool, I guess. It was pretty. Saw the bats. Oh, we did go to the Central Park Zoo. That was after a horse and carriage ride. Central Park Zoo was kind of small, but it had this rainforest exhibit where you can walk through, and it was like 90 plus degrees inside, and we had winter clothing on because it was pretty cold outside. And they just had fucking animals just right in front of you. They had like 2 huge bats. I don't know what kind of bats they were, but they were pretty big. They were sleeping because it was daytime, but they were just dangling right in front of me, just sitting there. Nah, Saint, that ain't your thing.
Nope, not my thing. And then with all, I know it might be all bullshit, but after COVID, I'm like, yeah, my dislike of bats have taken. If you don't got a man after your name, I don't want or man bat or anything like that. Yeah, bats just ain't. It just ain't where I'm at. No, thank you.
Well, that was fun. We had fun there. The horse carriage ride. The guy was kind of cool. I think it was Ukrainian, and so he gave us a nice little short ride. Sophie didn't want to go on the long one, so we went. It was like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. But it was fun. Let's see. Van Gogh Zoo. Then we went to the Museum of Modern Art, which I'd never been to. And unbeknownst to me, they had several famous works there, which it was kind of really cool to see in person. They had Dali's, I think it's called The Perseverance of Time or whatever, the melting clocks, Salvador Dali's painting. That was there. It was really small too. It was like 8 by 10 or something like that, maybe even smaller. So it's like not huge like you would anticipate. Like you see posters blown up in that size. Starry Night was fucking there by Van Gogh. I didn't know that was there. And we had seen Van Gogh the day before. So that was really cool to see in person and see the texture and everything like that. And of course, everyone's taking selfies with it. Several Picassos were there. Monet's like water lilies were there. And a lot of Jackson Pollock paintings were there. We did the entire MoMA museum that was open. And I took a lot of cool pictures of it. It was really cool. I'm not really an art guy, but it was interesting to see these works of art that you hear about I'm 42, and I've not seen them before. I'd not really even thought about going to see them. So that was kind of cool. And let's see, MoMA. Sorry, I'm looking at my photos. We went to the Empire State Building. We went up to the 102nd floor, which is like this special floor, quote unquote. It's cool. Yes, you are higher. You're like 20 stories above the 86th floor. But you're inside. Like you don't go to where like the celebrities go, like they have their special photo op where they're outside. They're like right at the edge of the building. You're inside, you're in glass. So like, it was pretty amazing to see the sunset from the 102nd floor. That's what we got it for. But the 86th, go ahead.
There's another one above the 102nd where they, where you can go up above, but you got to get special permission and shit to go up there.
Well, the 102nd is the highest I think you can go to as a regular person. The 86th, the 86th is where everyone usually goes. And that's where I went, took some cool panoramic photos. That, just a lot of the usual tourist shit. Let's see, MoMA. Oh, and then we went to the American Museum of Natural History again. If you guys haven't been there, it's pretty damn cool. It's the one with the huge blue whale, like a life-size blue whale sculpture. They had a shark thing, so they had a megalodon. That's where the Hayden Planetarium is, where Neil deGrasse Tyson works, or allegedly works. I don't know. I've never seen him there. The 3 or 4 times I've been there, I always wanted to pop in and see him. They had a really cool butterfly exhibit, which was awesome. Let's see. Oh, and then we saw The Music Man the first night. That was basically the biggest part of the trip for Sophie, because she has this huge crush on Hugh Jackman. So I was crossing my fingers, hoping Hugh Jackman was not going to call out sick for that night. Luckily, he didn't. The Music Man is like I don't know if you guys have seen the movie or the show or anything like that. It's like this guy comes to town. He's like a swindler, con artist kind of guy. He's selling musical instruments to kids in town, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like a 1950s inspired thing, but it takes place even earlier than that.
I've seen the Simpsons episode.
Okay.
Right.
So
I'm about to say my from the Simpsons, right? Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. It was really I don't know. It wasn't really corny, but it was kind of corny. But at the same time, like they made it entertaining to watch. Hugh Jackman, with his charm and everything, and then Sutton Foster, who I thought I had known from TV, but then I tried to look her up, and I'm like, I guess I haven't really seen her and stuff. She's really a musical person. There was this one point in the play, and this is one of the great things about seeing live shows. They're doing a performance in the library where she works as a librarian, and she takes his straw hat, and she's supposed to like give it to him, like slap it on him basically, and she hit him too hard, and so she couldn't help herself from cracking up, and Hugh Jackman started cracking up, and so basically you're seeing this live performance, and they just couldn't hold it together, but then Hugh Jackman picked it right back up and went on with it. So it was fun like that. Unfortunately, because of COVID, especially with Broadway, being you say liberal area or whatnot, but like they're being very careful about COVID, so they weren't signing anything afterwards. And I had gone out during intermission. I walked across the street, ran across the street to Walgreens to get some Sharpies. Unfortunately, they weren't signing anything. When he came out, Hugh Jackman came out, it was really quick, it was a few minutes, but he did take as many pictures as he could with people. Unfortunately, one of them was not Sophie. Now we know to leave the play like at the very end as fast as we can and get a good place in line. But he was cool. So that was fun. That was The Music Man. That was that night. Let's see. The next day we did go to the Trade Center waterfalls. Got some cool pictures. Probably my favorite one. The Trade Center. It was really foggy that morning. Trade Center, top of it. You couldn't see the top of it. So I got this really awesome shot of where the waterfalls are. You see the names around the memorial, and I got it shooting up at the World Trade Center. I guess I could pop that up, but that's fine. Then we saw Hamilton, which is pretty awesome to see in person on Broadway. Obviously, none of the original cast were there, but it was exciting to, be in the Richard Rodgers Theater where it originally, went on Broadway. So I enjoyed that. That was my second time seeing it live.
With the original cast, or
no? I wish it was the original cast, man. I would kill to see that original cast do it, but no, the cast is still pretty good. The guy who played Hamilton, though, he was so short, and Sophie looked up his height. He's allegedly like 5'6", 5'7", 5'5", I don't know, but he was like so much shorter than everyone on stage. It looked kind of awkward at times. But they put on a good show. They know what they're doing when they hire these people for the roles. So everyone was singing good. It was things like that. It was great. I went to see the Fearless Girl statue in front of the New York Stock Exchange because I had not seen that in person, and I wanted to see that because they made that a permanent installation. That's that she's standing like this with her hands at her side, standing up to the Wall Street people. It was like when the bubble burst or when the Me Too movement came out a few years ago. They put that there. Then we Sophie wanted to go to Ellis Island, so we took a ferry to the Statue of Liberty. Couldn't go up in the pedestal or crown because the tickets were sold out. Saw the statue, saw the history of that. Went to Ellis Island, which I think, in my opinion, had too much to read for Sophie. I think she got a little bored. But it was reopened, so it was kind of cool to see the history there of where everyone came to at the turn of the century and all that. And then let's see. Friday, we just did some shopping. Did we do a museum that morning? Oh, no, that's when we did the Statue of Liberty. Then we went to out with Bethy, just hung out, did some stuff. Whoa, I got a picture in front of the Ghostbusters firehouse. which I didn't know was right there in New York City downtown. That's kind of cool. It's just standing there with the Ghostbusters logo on it. We did something called the Catacombs by Candlelight, which we went under an old church called a basilica. I don't know if you guys know anything about religion, because I really didn't know this, but apparently it's a minor basilica. So if the Pope comes to the United States, that's where he's supposed to go, because that's like an offshoot of the Vatican. But instead of going there, he goes to Madison Square Garden because they can fit a whole bunch more people in there. But it was kind of cool. You went underneath it and saw like places where like some of these bishops and cardinals and things were buried, and sealed because of all the diseases at the time and whatnot. But it was pretty cool to go underneath and see that kind of stuff, see that history. Let's see. Saturday. Oh, and then Saturday, we went to see Hadestown. Have either of you heard of this musical?
I've heard of it.
No.
I know Jeremy's heard of it because I know your kid is into it.
My oldest is is a big fan.
Yeah, I had not heard of it. I had low expectations. I went into it. Now, so we got, I forgot to say, for Hamilton, we had basically the worst seats in the house. They were still good, but literally we had the wall behind us. There was nothing. We were up in the upper mezzanine or whatever you want to call it. And literally the person in the front row in front of us who arrived after us, they were talking to each other as a couple. And the woman said to the guy, "Oh, these aren't the worst seats. They have the worst seats." They pointed to us.
Wow.
But it was still good. Yeah. But for Hadestown,
you're like spill popcorn on her. Like, how good are your seats now, bitch? Like, fuck out of here.
I should have, right? For Hadestown, Bethy bought that for Sophie for her birthday present. And my uncle and aunt did, they helped with that too. So I don't know how much it cost at all, but we had basically the worst seats for that theater as well. But they were still good. You could still see everything. My thing was I was dealing with losing a contact the day before. And then I didn't bring an extra pair of contacts. So I was wearing my glasses, trying to wear a mask because Broadway, they enforced the mask rule the entire time without them fogging up the entire time. So I'm dealing with all of that while trying to watch this musical, which I have no idea what it's really about. It's about some Greek son of a muse who sings, and Hades and Persephone and Eurydice and Hermes and blah, blah, blah. I liked it. I didn't walk out loving it. After the second act, I liked it more. But when I got back down to Florida, I bought the cast recording, the cast album, and I love it now, man. It's a really good story. We saw it with the original Broadway cast. Really, they did a great job. Andre DeShields, Patrick Page, they did a really good job. Reeve Carney.
It's what of Hades? The
Hadestown. So basically it's the story.
Town.
Yeah. So it's Hades and Persephone. So Hades, is, underworld, blah, blah, blah. Persephone lives with him, but then 6 months of the year she can come up and do spring and summer because she's the one who controls the seasons and all that kind of stuff. So Orpheus is writing a song because he can kind of make spring happen or something to that effect. So Hades comes, takes, and Eurydice just happens upon the thing, and Eurydice and Orpheus fall in love, blah, blah. Hades comes, gets Persephone early, takes her back down to Hadestown. Eurydice starts starving or whatever. Orpheus is trying to write his song so he can get spring to come back. So he doesn't hear Eurydice calling for him. Eurydice goes to hell because she's offered by Hades, hey, you don't have to be hungry anymore. You just have to come with me and sign this contract. She signs a contract to be down in Hades or whatever you want to call it. But she's not hungry anymore. So Orpheus writes his song, finds out that she's gone. Hermes tells him where to find her, how to get into Hadestown the back way. And he goes there. He plays the song for Hades. Hades, not wanting to seem like a pussy, says, well, I'm not going to let her go, but I'll make you a deal. If you walk out of Hades, and she walks behind you, but you don't turn around, and you get and you get outside of Hades, you guys are fine. But right at the very end, he turns around and she goes down to Hades. And so that's it's a tragedy, right? It's a Greek tragedy. And then, but then at the very end, Hermes, who's basically the narrator, they start the story over again because that's what it is. It's a Greek tragedy. It's going to end that way. It's always going to end that way, but it starts over again. And so the play ends basically at the beginning of the play, which was really cool. You know what I mean? It was really well done. The acting was superb. I bought four albums. I bought the original album by Anais Mitchell, who's the singer who wrote the concept album in 2010. I bought that album, listening to that now. I bought the cast recording from Broadway. I bought the live off-Broadway cast recording, which I haven't listened to yet. And they also did a Christmas song, basically like kind of Christmas sounding songs with the Broadway cast. So I'm kind of obsessed with it now, I guess you would say. But I think that was my New York trip. Yeah,
that is a Greek story. I mean, obviously, that's a famous Greek myth. And I'm glad we went with the short version of your New York trip. Or right. Taking a while.
Hey, motherfucker, I just kind of named everything and it happened, and you guys chimed in when you wanted to.
Have you played the game?
He specifically said, don't just tell us I went to this museum. He specifically said that.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. No, Jeremy, I agree 100%. But it's okay. It's okay. No, you had a good trip, and I'm glad we got. Have you ever played the game Hades on a Switch, or I guess it's on PC? But I play. No. It's probably you. If there's a game, no, it's on. You had a PS5, PS4,
yeah, PS5 and PS4.
It's on there too. I would say try to get it when it's on sale for download. Trust me, dude, it's probably one of the best game of the years. It's like it's a roguelike. It's if you ever seen what's it called, like Diablo, but it's all entwined with Greek tragedy and the shit you can do. But that's probably a triple A plus game to get, and it comes on pretty cheap. It's called Hades. And you just mentioned that story, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that story. The only reason I knew who that story is from the game. And it's all, but you play Zagreus, who's supposed to be the son of, it's the son of Hades. So just playing it, but trust me, it's if you don't have a chance, play that game. I know, tangent, but that's probably one of the best game of the years I've ever played.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, shit, I just fucking bought Elden Ring just because everyone's talking about it. I haven't even played it yet.
I don't like Souls-like. I know, off another tangent, I can't play Souls-like. I hate those games. They're like intentionally super hard, and you have to really get into it. And it's like, fuck it. I don't play games for me to bang my. I mean, I don't mind a challenging game, but like I like games like they kind of like build you up and like, hey, yeah, you might not be ready for this guy, but go do. But no, those Souls-like games, they're just fucking hard as fuck for no reason. So I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I heard, George R.R. Martin had some involvement with it. So I'm like, hey, man, that sounds cool. I wanted to see what it was like. And everyone is literally, like I said, talking about it. I mean, I guess someone did a speed run of 20 minutes on the game. I don't even see how that's possible. But I literally just purchased it and have not looked at it yet. So I'll look at Hades. I'll check it out. Sounds interesting. Yeah. All right. So that was my New York trip. Oh, and we did an escape room and we finished it. Me, Sophie, and Bethy. And the woman who ran the escape room was pretty impressed because she said that there's only a 10 to 20% escape rate. It's their hardest room, and there's usually a party of 10 people that are doing it. So, Jeremy, you'd be proud. We had to use clues, but whatever, we did. All right, so let's finish up the B block of my boring trip. Sorry for anyone who listens and thought it was boring. I thought
you didn't even get to the Chad moment.
The hotel. Do you want me to do that at the end? Can we do that now?
I was waiting for.
I'll talk about it now.
Did you complain?
Oh, the fucking hotel. Okay, so we go with not the cheapest hotel in Manhattan, but basically the cheapest hotel that's not a hostel. But it still looks okay. It has a private bathroom. It's got enough room, blah, blah, blah. I get there Friday night. We get inside. I am one to put the air down to 65 or so as soon as I walk into a room. Basically as low as it'll go. 50. If it goes to 50, 45, I'll put it fucking down there. It never really gets that cold, but I'll put it down. I put the air down as soon as I get in to 60 something, and I notice it's blowing out hot air. And I'm like, that's weird. But we get there at 1 a.m., whatever. I decided to just leave it till the morning, turn off the air. I crack open the window, the 2 inches that'll allow me to crack it open because we're 16 floors up and they don't want us to commit suicide. And that's it. So it's pretty hot. It's like 76 degrees in the room. I had trouble sleeping. The next morning I go downstairs. I'm like, hey, buddy, something wrong with my air. I can't cool down. It's just blowing out hot air. He's like, oh yeah, your room is on the side where there's only central air. So if one person has the heat on, everyone has to have the heat on. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I said, is there anything you can do about that? And he's like, oh, I can give you a fan. You can open your window. I'm like, okay. So I dealt with that. He sent a rotate, what do they call it? Oscillating fan up to the room. For the next...
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh, shut up, Siri. I'm not talking to you, bitch. So then, for the next 4 nights, I think, maybe 5 nights, I deal with the oscillating fan. Sophie, it was cool enough in New York City. It was like in the 40s and 30s at night where the 2 inches the window open, it wasn't freezing. It was letting just enough air inside if it was breezy to make it cool, and the fan helped out. But then on Wednesday night into Thursday morning, there was no breeze, even though it was fucking like cold as shit outside. I wake up at 4 something a.m. and the room is 81 degrees. And I'm like, fuck this. The fan is not helping me. I can't go back to sleep. So I go downstairs, and luckily there's someone at the front desk because there's not always someone there 24/7. And he goes, yes, sir. How can I help you? I'm like, yeah, my room's 81 degrees. The heater, the air conditioning is blowing out hot air because it's on a central air system and it's on that side of the building. And my window only opens 2 fucking inches and I can't sleep. What can we do here? He's like, oh, well, there's not really much we can do. I said, there's nothing you can do. Well, I can't sleep, so you need to fucking do something. And magically he looks into his system and he finds, oh, there's this one room on the 7th floor. And he said, yeah, I can give you keys for that, but I need your keys from your room. And so his priority, and with me as a guest of the hotel, is making sure I don't have 2 rooms from 4 a.m. until I wake up at 11 a.m. or whatever. So he basically wants us to transfer everything, wake Sophie up, transfer everything from our room on the 16th floor down to the 7th floor, and then go and give him my fucking keys. So we do that because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to sleep. And I needed to be, awake to do everything in New York City. I go down, give him the keys. The room that he transfers me to, which magically the guy on Saturday didn't apparently know about, or maybe it wasn't available, but I highly doubt that. He didn't mention that there were rooms that I could have AC in. So the only bad thing was we had an adjoining room that had one of those doors inside of the room, and the person and the people in the other room were smoking, even though it was a no smoking hotel. So it was coming through the door, and that sucked. But it was cold enough, so it was fine. Let's see. So I leave, we stay there the rest of the time in that room. Saturday or Sunday morning, I go to check out before we go and do what we're going to do for the day. And, I talked to the guy at the front desk and he didn't ask me how it was at all. He didn't ask anything. He said, I'm like, yeah, I need to check out. And he asked my room number. He said, okay, you're done. And that was basically it. So I got no resolution really. They just charged my money and went ahead and did that. So I've been review bombing them on Google, on Yelp, on Expedia, wherever I can drop a review for the Soho 54 hotel in downtown Manhattan. It sucks. Don't stay there. So anyone listening to this podcast, find somewhere else to stay, spend a little bit more money, and inquire about the air conditioning if you care about that.
I think I've run into this in other buildings, or I've had the same experience where, they can only run heat or air, and the heat is on until this date, and then they swap to air, and you can turn on, but the entire building is either one or the other. And if they make the change too soon, you're screwed. If they change to air and it gets cold again, oh well. Or if if it gets warm and they haven't changed it yet, oh well. There's nothing else they can do. It's one or the other. I guess it's an older building thing, I assume. Yeah. I assume newer buildings, they have a little more control over, at least I would hope so. But yeah, I've heard about this issue before in other places where I've experienced it. The story just, I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, can't believe you didn't ask for a manager, though. I'm a little disappointed.
Dude, I was so done. I'm still hoping that they reach out to me and fucking make it right. Give me some discount on some of the days or whatnot. But no, they took my $1,300 and they were happy about it. They're like, yep, see you later. Fuck off. Bye. So unfortunately, I didn't chat it up as much as I usually would. But we had too much going on for me to focus too much energy towards that. We had a pretty packed day on every day that we were there. So I just wanted to be able to sleep. That was my biggest thing. Yes, I would have loved a cold room right off the bat, but those first few nights it was tolerable. That one night it was not tolerable. 81 degrees. I'm sorry that I could not sleep in that. I know some people love it when it's that fucking cold. I am not one of them.
No.
No, too warm. Yeah, like I'm with Jeremy, man. I'm glad you got a different room, and for overall your trip was good, but a little disappointed. I wanted you to chat. This is something I would have chatted up, but then again, you're in New York City, you're not at your home base, you're on vacation trying to get shit done. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping to have some. I'm still gonna pursue it. And see if I can get some resolution. But that I did not get any while I was up there. All right, so let's take a quick break. You've been listening to The Usual Saints. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Fred Alfred Boy. Listen to The Usual Saints on your favorite way of getting a podcast.
I got tongue-tied. I started saying you've been listening to Usual Saints. We'll be right back, and my tongue just got stuck to the roof of my mouth. I think I'm thirsty or something. I don't know. All right, welcome back to Usual Saints. This is our final block. Probably going to be like a short block, but we always say that and we wind up talking for 3 hours. So let's see. Do you guys have anything in particular that we want to cover and not spend a ton of time on? And I see some topics were added to the list by you guys. I mean, obviously there's Bruce Willis with his aphasia, which really sucks because I am a big fan of him. Fifth Element, Die Hard, he's Sin City.
Red wasn't bad. First one at least.
Which one? Red? The action movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one.
Pulp Fiction.
Not much to say. I mean, it explains a lot because I don't know if you've been following his career for the past 5 years, but he has just been making, and again, it's understandable now, but he's just making dog shit movies, like straight through. I mean, if there is DVD anymore, but straight to DVD, Blu-ray, like I was just like, what is going on? Is he in financial trouble? And maybe he was just taking roles, just anticipating like, hey, something was going wrong and couldn't really see, maybe he just knew he couldn't take the huge, big blockbuster roles because of, not remembering lines, had to have an earpiece, that kind of deal. So he's just been making like crazy, I wouldn't say B, some C-level movies, but maybe it was just anticipation, like, hey, I got to hang it up, maybe just get as much money as I can now, and probably just hit the point where do it anymore. So sad to hear.
I actually read an article before this was announced about that. It was basically saying he was cranking out movies where he would get paid $1 million for like 3-4 days work on these straight to VOD video movies. And that's what his career had kind of become. And you're right. We don't know if it was because he knew this diagnosis was there, if it was because he couldn't work on the bigger projects anymore. I read an article where like his stuntman was saying, it was kind of like, I don't think it was like a secret because I don't think a lot of people knew about it because about the outpouring that's kind of come out since his the announcement by his family. Fucking Kevin Smith apologized basically for what he said about his experience with Bruce Willis on Cop Out, which I think is... He didn't
apologize. But he's just saying like, I was focused on this dumb... It just put in perspective. It's like, I'm sure everything that happened, Kevin Smith was like, yeah, Bruce Willis was a dick, but now he's like, you know what? I've focused on this shit for too long. In the end, it's like, whatever. And I think they made up like a year or two ago where Bruce Willis had hit him up, and who knows, maybe because Bruce Willis like, hey, let me start making amends for some things and shit like that. So you never know.
Well, I give Kevin Smith credit for coming out and saying that. He's never one to hold back whatever he wants to say. I mean, he put out allegedly the worst tweet in the history of the world. I forget exactly what it says, but it's something to do with him and his wife having sex or something like that. But he stepped up and basically, I know you said he didn't apologize, but he like you said, he understood that in the situation and Bruce Willis's diagnosis now, that whatever happened on that thing matters so little now. So right. I thought it was nice to hear him say something to that effect. And I've seen nothing but an outpouring of support from Hollywood. It just sucks, man. Die Hard, the best Christmas movie of all time. And
not a Christmas movie.
and Bruce Willis, he's unfortunately not going to be acting anymore. So
greatest action movies of all time, yes, and he deserves credit for it, but not a Christmas movie.
It is. Anyway, moving on.
Not at all. Days of the 4th of July works just as well. Go ahead.
You've said this. We've had this argument before.
Right.
Do you guys watch The Umbrella Academy?
I tried watching the first season. Me and my wife. I think she got through it when I went on the boat one time. I tried getting through it, but it just didn't stick with me enough for me to be like, yeah, I got to finish watching this. I know a few people I work with, they've watched it. I was just kind of like, if I get to it, but yeah, it hasn't been on my list of things. Like if I get through everything else I want to watch, maybe I'll go back to it. But
you should watch it. The second season, especially with all the time travel elements, it was really, really well done, I think. So if you haven't gone around the second season, that's good. Third season is about to premiere. I just wanted to get your guys, slight takes on this. So, Elliot Page, who transitioned from Ellen Page, she played Vanya Hargreaves in the show. They're now changing the character of Vanya Hargreaves, I forget, to Victor not because, but I'm sure it has something to do with because of Elliot's transition. Where do you guys stand on that? We've had a lot of talk in the past recent years about like Jared Leto playing a man transitioning to a woman in Dallas Buyers Club and winning an Oscar for it. A lot of people say, a lot of these roles should go more to trans actors and things like that. Do you feel like it's appropriate to change a character from a fictional universe, which is based on graphic novels, from one sex to another because an actor transitions? Or do you feel like them as actors should be able to still play that role as a female?
Are they going to actually deal with the transition, or just the next episode, it's going to go from one to the other?
They are very limited at what they give out. Right now, all we know about season 3 is that they come back from the past. I'm giving a huge spoiler here. I don't know if you guys care, but
not really.
When they come back, instead of being the Umbrella Academy where they all grew up basically and have these superpowers and whatnot, it's the Sparrow Academy. And so they come back from the past, having changed the past slightly, and now they have to deal with these people who aren't them, but are basically their antithesis and whatnot. So I don't know how they're going to deal with it because they haven't divulged that yet. I just know it's been announced that the character's name will be changing from Vanya to Victor. I assume it will be brought up in some way, and obviously in a tasteful manner, because Elliot's involved with the show and everything, and the show seems very progressive in that fashion. I don't know. I'm of the opinion of if the universe, you don't need to change the character in the universe, but I don't know that we've ever seen something where this kind of thing has happened before, where someone on a television show has transitioned in between seasons of a show.
Okay. I feel like this. So 3 things. Number 1, I guess, and this is probably me as a purist, if it can be explained some way in the story and it's not haphazard, like you said, one day you come in, it's like, the Will Smith and that Viv thing, which bring it back to Will Smith. One day Aunt Viv is dark skinned, and in the next season, she's like some light skinned woman who looks completely different. And we'll just like, that's a little difference, a comedy, whatever. But if you can make it make sense and we're not going to ignore it in the story, okay, that's one thing. Also, and again, with all these issues, I wish we would take more of a let's be considerate of all sides kind of issues. If the writers and creators of the show, if Elliot Page goes to them and you said, hey, I know I've transitioned, and it's a request. And if the creators of the show are cool with it, the writers, everyone who's involved who has an actual say, and I wouldn't even say other actors, but anyone who's executive producer or above, that includes Netflix, the people who are paying for it, the creators, whoever created the graphic novel, whatever. If everyone's cool with it, then fine. Write into the story, get a group, that's what you're paid for. Writers are paid to write and make it make sense. And if everyone's cool with it, then, I will say, I don't feel like anyone should feel pressured. Like if the creator of the graphic novel or if the executive producer is like, hey, this is the character, this is our show. If it was pick a superhero. If it was Wonder Woman and you'd be like, well, we want to make Wonder Woman black trans males, like, well, that ain't gonna fucking work. You know what I'm saying? If everyone is in agreement and everyone's cool, then yeah, let them go. And I'm sure there's some people out there, this is too woke and blah, blah, blah. That said, if she had went to them and said this and they were like, no, then she should have been like, hey, I get it. I made a choice for my life. This is where I'm at. And if they're not cool with it, see, I also feel like there has to be give and take both ways. A trans person transitioning has to be willing to accept like, hey, I'm doing this for me. And if people ain't cool with it, cool. I'm going to go and I'm going to do my thing. But if everyone's cool with it, then everyone outside the show should be cool with it too. Be like, and like I said, of course, make it make sense in the story. Don't just like be like, hey, this is how it is now. Pretend what you saw before you didn't see. But from what you're saying, it sounds like this story may lend itself. Like we coming back from the past, and when you're dealing with time travel and, multiverse, everything. We're going to be sick of multiverse. I think in the next 2-3 years, we're going to be so sick of multiverse shit because everything's going that way. I mean, The Flash is going to be about multiverse, Doctor Strange, Quantum Mania. I'm fearing that like we're going to be sick of the multiverse very soon. But that said, if everyone's cool, if that's it, then yeah, man, to each their own. So,
Jeremy?
So for me, I'm good with it. However, there's two ways to handle it in my mind. Either don't reference it at all, and the character is just now Victor now, and that's just it's just like watching a soap opera, and there's a little voiceover that hey, the character of AJ Quartermain is now played by so and so, and they just move on. The character's still there; it's a new actor type thing. Or they need to deal with the transition, which I don't know that Elliot Page would want to deal with, because then they'd have to go through the a transition process versus just now being Elliot. I don't know if the actor would want to do that, play the female version through the thing. As far as Sainte saying about Elliot should be cool if he goes to the producers and they say no, that's not what we want. The character's what the character is. We appreciate that you can no longer play this character because you're not a female. We get that. My fear is, and I've seen it in other places where someone comes out as trans and says, hey, I'm going to transition to be a man, and their boyfriend from when they were a female says, hey man, I support you. I love you. I understand you're becoming a man. I no longer want to be in a relationship with you. Well, that's because you're transphobic. No, because I'm attracted to women and you're no longer a woman. I'm not transphobic. I'm making it my decision is to not be with someone who's now a man. Just like the producer could say my decision is now, or would be that my decision is this is a female role. That's what we've envisioned it is. That's how the story works. That has to be okay to say, okay, yeah, we understand, we support you, but now that you're no longer able to do this, or we're no longer in this relationship in the same way because you're not what I thought you were when we cast you or dated you or whatever. So you got to be able to go both ways. That hey, I can support you fully in that, but our relationship is no longer the same. Whatever that relationship, professional, personal, may be. You're no longer the same person. Yeah,
I don't think that even if the producers wanted him to play Vanya transitioning to Victor, I don't think Elliot could. I mean, just based off what I saw at the Oscars, his voice is changed so much, I assume, from like the hormones and whatnot. He does not sound like he could pull off a female voice. Now, there's CGI. There's many different ways you can go about it. You can make a totally CGI Vanya.
It's called acting. It's called. How about you try acting? Right?
But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
That's the classic. Who was it? I think it was Dustin Hoffman in the 70s. He was doing some movie or something with some English people or whatever. And like he's supposed to play a guy who's like strung out and like, hard time stuff. So Dustin Hoffman for like last 3 days, like I've been out in New York City partying hard, barely sleeping, doing whatever, want to be real method with it.
Method.
I think one of the English guys turned to him, have you tried acting? But I agree with you. And to the example that you had, Jeremy, I'd just say I think that's what we also have to come to. I wish understanding, and yes, there are some people who I think tend to be unreasonable about it, but it doesn't have to be trans. Any major life change, if someone you're with, you make any super major life change with the other person, and if the other person isn't cool with it, yeah, it's a deal breaker. Like say you met your wife and all of a sudden your wife says, hey, I just want to become a stripper or a porn star. You just got to be cool with it. Like, making major life choices without me. I have a saying this also. So I feel like everybody just needs to come to like a standing like, hey, every side should be respected and we should respect people's choices. But that also includes, hey, if you decide to make a personal change for yourself, you have to let the other person, and I'm not talking about being disrespected. Like people shouldn't come out and disrespect someone for their choices, but they get to make a choice about, hey, this isn't how we originally got into this. If we don't agree to go forward, then everyone should be cool with that too. So,
all right. Well, let's end on that note. We have we're going to be recording apparently in a few days before Saint leaves, so we got a lot of shit to talk about, but we want to save it for that episode. I'm sure more shit will happen. We'll talk about William Hurt and Razor Ramon, their deaths. We'll talk about all the NFL news. Yeah, we'll cover it all. We've missed a lot of shit in 2.5 weeks or whatever. So we'll cover more in the next few days. I have no idea why April Fools and Tampa Bay Bucks are on the list. I assume it's about Bruce Arians transitioning.
I only put one, Tampa Bay to me.
Well, we'll talk about that on our next show. So that's a little preview of what to expect on our next show, guys. So as usual, go to theusualsaints.com to find us. You can find us wherever you find a podcast, because I'm pretty damn awesome about putting it out there. Spotify, Apple Music. Follow us on social media at The Usual Saints, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, even though it doesn't really get updated. But hey, give us a follow. Eventually, one of these days, I'm going to get around to doing shit. I'm going to get around
5-star reviews.
Hey, man, I haven't seen any of them yet, but if someone wants to give us some 5-star reviews, go ahead. The guy from AutoBlow said that we did not have enough of a YouTube presence for him to become a sponsor. But he did say that he would replace the sleeve on mine when I wore it out. All right.
Somehow I know you actually bought one. I know, just.
We could talk about that on the next show.
Alrighty then.
So for Saint and Jeremy, I'm Mike D. And you've been listening to The Usual Saints. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Somehow not surprising.
Don't hate, man. Don't knock it till you try it.
No thanks.